Greetings and salutations, guys. Welcome to the ALEuminati. Two Yorkshiremen getting pissed, discussing conspiracy theories. As always, I'm your host, Badger, joined by my veritable, knowledgeable friend, Mr. Craig.
You say that every week.
I do. I like to pick you up because you let yourself down on the programme.
Sorry, you set me for a fall as soon as you start.
So, if you've watched our previous two episodes, you see we've covered such big, meaty conspiracy theories like is Paul McCartney dead? And do the Simpsons actually predict the future? So we thought we'd come in nice and light to start with, and we're going to turn up a little bit this week.
A little bit.
So this week, Craig, does that believe that Hitler died in World War II?
Well, it's a bit more extensive than that. So it's not, did Hitler die in World War II? Did Hitler manage to get his arse to Argentina in World War II? Did he manage to escape a burning Europe? So there's a big conspiracy. Hitler made out of Europe into Argentina and lived his days with the Argentinian folk, and he was not dead in a bunker.
Nope, he did not die. So the official story is he, as the fall of Berlin was going on in 1945.
Yes.
Allied forces were breaking through on both sides. I think Allied on one side, Russia on the other, coming into Berlin.
Russia were breaking down the doors. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much it's gone, it's over. So Hitler did the honourable and noble thing of blowing his own brains out.
Yes, supposedly so.
He was in his bunker in Berlin with his wife, I think she was
Eva Braun,
Eva Braun, was his wife then. Yeah, they got married, didn't they? Yeah.
Or Eva Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hitler blew his brains out, she took a cyanide pill. But Hitler given express orders to his last remaining generals that were around him that his body must be burnt straight away because he was paranoid about Mussolini or something.
Yeah, because Mussolini, he was hung in the streets, and basically everyone was just laughing and throwing things at him and so on, and he didn't want the people to look at him in the same way and that to be a memory of history of him.
Well, yeah, I suppose like now as history looks back in now, he's like widely considered the most evil man that ever lived. Kind of has that title, doesn't it? I mean, you can argue Pol Pot or Che Guevara and stuff like that, but
Che Guevara, come on.
Killed hundreds of thousands of people just for the sexuality.
Well,
but at least he taught kids to read.
He did. I think the biggest, the most evil, biggest killer that's ever known is God. But that's a different scenario, you know. He's a vengeful bastard.
No, but we know Hitler existed.
This is also very true. Welcome to the ALEuminati, guys.
We go off tangent really quickly.
These are rabbit holes, and just to let you know, there's a likelihood we'll probably fight, we'll probably swear, we'll probably might even throw something at each other. We always make friends at the end.
We'll probably cause offence to a few people watching. Please don't take it to heart. We're equal offenders, equal opportunity offenders. We offend everybody equally. Yeah. We really don't care. We're Yorkshiremen. We're right, you're wrong.
And I'm very much expecting the same offence we may give on camera to have the same offence in the comments.
Yeah. We fully accept that, that's fine. We're Yorkshiremen, we've got thick skin. But, yes, going back to his story, Hitler blew his brains out because he didn't want to be sort of like parade. Kind of like, I suppose, later on as well, we saw with, was it Gaddafi and found in a tube, like an underground pipe, wasn't it?
Well, Gaddafi was killed by his people.
Yeah, but it was found like, is this big dictator, all-powerful man. Suddenly, the last thing we remember of him is his last defining moment is it was curled up in a sewage pipe, scared.
Similar to Saddam Hussein, found surrounded by money in a basement, and then obviously was hung.
But it just kind of takes the point I'm trying to get to was like Hitler is still held like this big evil bastard who caused absolute atrocities across the world, and that's how we remember him. But if it had been dragged out of the streets and hung from a lamppost where everybody laughing and throwing stones at him, that kind of takes away the veneer around him, the legends scrub clean kind of thing.
It was very smart of him to say, I suppose, I'm going to take,
his legend's intact. He takes his own life. He sets the terms of his body being desecrated.
Yeah. And exactly, it's exactly what he said he was going to do. You know, put it to his will and testament. So.
I think that's kind of like snatching victory from the jaws of defeat in a way. Like, I know I'm defeated, I know I'm lost, but I'm going out on my terms, you bastards. You're not laughing at me.
Exactly. I mean,
I'm going to rob you with your final victory. There's this Russian commander and this American general come charging to Berlin, both racing to be the first to get hit and parade him around, and he's like, haha, neither are winning.
Yeah, I mean, why not, eh? I mean, it's just it's just the last snub. It's the last fuck you.
No, it's that last snub of the nose, and it's that last.
You won't get me. You will not get me. Even if Berlin's falling, you're not getting me. I'm going out on my own terms, and fuck you. And that's what history purported that he did.
Can you imagine like the war crime trials of legendary, like The Hague? Imagine that with Hitler in there.
Well, that would have been an interesting one.
That would have been interesting, but
it would have only just been topped by O.J. Simpson trial, but it would have been very close.
It would have been very close.
Sky News would have run it.
So that's the official narrative.
Yes.
And there's facts to back this up. The Russians back it up and prove it with Hitler's body.
Well, shall
I'm jumping too far ahead there.
Let's talk about what supposedly happened if that wasn't. So the case was supposedly that this is not true history. That this is a false history that was put out ultimately because we lost Hitler, and we had to say that he died, and so therefore this was a story that was put out by British intelligence and the Russians to cover up the fact that we managed to let Hitler escape to Argentina.
Actually, I've got here the theory that he faked his death was first presented to the public by Marshal Gregory Zhukov at a press conference on 9th of June 1945 on orders from Soviet leader Joseph Stalin.
Yes, so this was the first ever, this idea of fake news has come around. It's quite a popular thing in the last decade. But I think this was the first ever fake news article, really. Originally...
Well, it was propaganda before, wasn't it? It was like propaganda we used by forces, but then this was the first time that government has straight up lied to the public.
Well, originally, they just said that the Russians told all the West newspapers that they'd found Hitler's body. And then very quickly afterwards, Stalin put out a contradictory term suggesting that they didn't have the body and that actually they didn't know where he was, and they said the Brits were hiding him, and they were putting out this idea of this plastic investigation to say let's go try and find Hitler, but realistically they'd already had him the whole time.
Was this a case, do you think, of sort of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend? So it's not like, Britain and Russia were on the same side during the war in the end, and then as soon as Hitler's gone, it's like, all right, we're not friends anymore. We're gonna make it out that you're lying. We're gonna turn the news against you, just because we're no longer at war with Germany, so we don't like you again.
It's really weird because even historians will say they don't actually really know why this happened. They don't really understand why, even now, why Stalin came out and said, "Oh, actually, we don't have the body," after saying that they did have the body. It's a bit of a game, but they don't actually really know for certain why they did it. They suggest that it was just to cause unrest in the idea of, just because the end of the World War happened, it doesn't mean that the Nazis stopped, and just because Hitler's gone doesn't mean that Nazis don't exist. Mm-hmm. So it was a case of keeping trouble within Europe somehow benefited them. So just to say, if your long-term leader's dead and there's Nazis all over, but you keep spinning the yarn, actually he may not be dead. It keeps the idea of the Nazis going, and somehow he thought that would benefit the Soviet Union. But they don't really understand why they continue to allow it to happen. They even scared Eisenhower into thinking that it was true. So
yeah, I mean, like I say, 9th of June was the first time I heard of this at a press conference. So this wasn't like some rumour or some whisper in a bar. This were Marshal Zhukov at a press conference on 9th of June said it, and then apparently orders from Stalin. And then when asked at the Potsdam conference in July in 1945 how Hitler had died, Stalin said he was either living in Spain or Argentina. So it comes straight from Stalin himself at a press conference.
And that's the first legitimate place of where this whole conspiracy.
Yeah. So in June, a general as Marshal Zhukov on the orders of Stalin said, "Oh, he's not dead." and then a month later, or maybe a couple of weeks later, a month later, I got 9th of June for the first time, and then July 45, so I don't know what date in July it was. But Stalin himself went, oh no, he's living in Spain or Argentina. So Stalin himself put this idea. This isn't some whispers through the soldiers, or we had intelligence, and I was drinking in bar in Berlin, and this British intelligence officer told me that Hitler's not dead. You know, and like that kind of Chinese whispers where you normally get a conspiracy theory. This is Stalin straight up to the press went, oh no, he's living in Spain or Argentina.
Absolutely, and the reason they said both of those are because both of those were, I think Spain were neutral, but realistically they were sympathisers of the Nazis, and Argentina was certainly, Perón was certainly a Nazi sympathiser. He enjoyed, well, he saw how Nazis ran via an iron fist, and he really tried to run Argentina in the same way. But also Argentina at the time was, it was full of German nationals who'd migrated there over decades and decades before. So he
had quite a couple of not just like German nationals, but Bavarian villages. And what I mean by Bavarian villages is when you get if you go down, well, probably not London today because it's changed quite a lot, but if you look at like English villages like the Cotswolds and Cornwall and Yorkshire, you can see a certain style of building.
Yeah.
And you can't, obviously you get that certain type of architecture in Argentina, but then suddenly you get these Bavarian villages that the architecture is completely Bavarian German style buildings. So it's not even like, there were a couple of Germans moved in. Like they built entire villages in their style, and they exist. And that's the theories he went to one of them because they were kind of considered to be Nazi safe spots after the war.
I mean, let's be brutally honest. It's Argentina, absolutely 100% had Nazis that absolutely went to Argentina. They were found in Argentina, and afterward Perón was ousted out of power, I think, in 1955. They felt really unsafe in Argentina. They thought, well, what's the new regime going to do? So they started moving around South America. But absolutely, absolute bastards. Were in Argentina and were welcomed with open arms.
Argentina were quite happy to that sweet Nazi gold.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, there's a point I got later on in the thing I'm going to get to, but the village that he went to, the mayor of that village took a lot of money from. No, he didn't take any money. Sorry, I apologise. I'm not going to accuse him of bribery, but it's well documented that his wife took a hell of a lot of money from Nazi generals who just so happened to turn up living in his village after the war.
It's just a happy coincidence.
Just happy coincidence at the end.
Absolutely.
But, so they were quite happy. Like this mayor's like, I'll have a getting, and we're talking top brass, and they're like, we'll get you. I've got this suitcase of Nazi gold. Do you want it? I'll take the house over there. I don't mind you moving in. Your name's not Jeff.
Well, in fact, some of the Nazis were just living under their own name.
They didn't even hide it, did they?
I mean, let's see some of the people who went to Argentina and were found in South America. These were actual people there, which you can understand why this conspiracy will persevere. Is people, Adolf Eichmann. Really sorry.
It's a very South American name.
And I'm really sorry if that is a shit way of the Yorkshire term of saying a German name. But he was the world's most wanted Nazi. He was exterminating Jews. He was a notorious SS lieutenant, masterminded the network of death camps that resulted in all the 6 million people. He was found in World War II in Buenos Aires. He was found there and he was eventually brought to justice, but when there was...
He didn't even try and hide his name.
I don't know if he changed.
I don't think he changed his name, did he?
I don't think he did. No, I don't think he did. Then there was Joseph Mengele. He was
the doctor from Auschwitz.
Oh Jesus!
Experiment on twins and
the Angel of Death.
Mm-hmm.
Again, but Joseph Mengele got there because of the Catholic Church. He was one of the people of the Catholic Church.
Catholic Church smuggling out on it.
Congratulations, well done. So outside of kiddie fiddling, you're also getting rid of Nazis. Congratulations.
So the Vatican's the Vatican hierarchy hate children and Jews.
Yes.
And gays as well. Why not put that in there? Cause
we've just offended 1 billion people, but that's okay.
I don't care. So if you pick someone in a white fucking hat and dress who protects kiddly fiddlers, is pious. There's some fucking serious misaligned with your moral compass.
Back to Joseph Mengele. So Mengele was smuggled out with the clergy, Dr. Death, the Angel of Death, not Dr. Death, Dr. Death's a wrestler.
Yeah.
Angel of Death. And he got captured in Paraguay, I think, or in Brazil. And there's Walter Ralph. Again, he responsible for killing about 100,000 people. Is Franz Stangl.
How do you, like, 100,000, you're supposed to kill 100,000 people? How do you even sleep at night? How do you go through day to day? I
assume that he was so, I don't know, so brainwashed into thinking that it was the right thing to do, that it would be similar. He must have seen them as just like killing a colony of ants. Like, it means nothing.
Can you imagine that? Like, I think he went to Chile, didn't he?
He did go to Chile.
He went to Chile, yeah.
Lived under his own name.
Lived under his own name. Can you imagine that talk? Like, he's just sat in a bar getting drunk and some little kid, like some little young upstart starts on him and stuff, like, and he just turned around and looked him dead in the eye with a cold, dead stare and just goes, "Do you want to fuck off? I've killed more people than live in this town."
It's, you know, and the weird thing is though, the worst thing about Walter Ralph is Augustin Pinochet, the dictator, wouldn't even allow West Germany to extradite him. He was just like, no, he's staying here. And he died, an old man in 1984 in Chile, lived his life out without any
Pinochet just protected him.
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, it's here, we've got him, you're not having him though, we're not extraditing him.
And it even says, German and Chilean mourners at his funeral gave Nazi salutes and chanted Heil Hitler, and that was in 1984, so...
Fucking hell. Are these Chilean officials? Or
Chilean mourners, but obviously they being... So it just goes to show that the Nazis didn't stop there, and then there was another, Franz Stangl, White Death, specifically because he used to wear a white uniform and a whip, responsible or oversaw 1 million deaths. He escaped an Austrian prisoner war camp, assisted by Nazi sympathisers, an Austrian bishop. Another one, I don't understand.
Church again.
And then went on a Red Cross passport and got himself over to South America.
How the fuck you get a Red Cross passport when you killed 1 million people?
Maybe it meant something different then, I don't know, but...
I've got a Red Cross. No, mate. Red Cross is a symbol to say we come and help people. You just got a cross covered in people's blood. That doesn't make it a Red Cross. Fuck off.
But unlike the rest of them, he did eventually get to South America, living under his own name again. But he was found and extradited back to West Germany, and he was found guilty of mass murder of 900,000 people, sentenced to life imprisonment. But only 4 years after being found, he died of heart failure. So he only had 4 years of...
Yeah, it's just, but there's a pattern here, isn't there? They're no fucks given, living under their own names, and
these are some. I mean, there's a couple more. I mean, we won't go into too much. Joseph Schwamberger, Eric Priebke. These guys were absolute. Again, I've said it already. The biggest bastards.
Yeah. So when we're talking about Nazis escaping Germany and Europe and end of the war and things like that, we're not talking about low-level brown shirts that went, oh shit, I'm running.
SS officers.
We're talking generals and
commanders and all
commanders.
sorts.
This is a hierarchy that
yeah.
Not your man on the street got fucking lifted, and your brown shirt was like. I'm sure there's some out there. I'm not going to be a Nazi sympathiser, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like part of the brown shirts and stuff. But we're just a case of it puts food on the table and stops me getting a kicking.
I'm certain that it depends. I wasn't there, and I can only imagine what it would have been like to be under that regime. It's a case of follow us or die. Your family are going to die.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, at the lowest levels of the hierarchy.
So there's no but I'm not sympathising at all.
No, but I can understand in that situation where it's a case of like, I go wear this uniform and enact these laws, and my kids can eat, or I get killed and what the fuck happens to my kids. So you can understand why somebody would do that. So we're not talking about those guys. Those guys were probably fucking happy they all left and fucked up to South America because they could get their lives back on track again. I don't know you look your neighbours in the eye after, but but we're talking about the top guys. Like these guys didn't go with an empty fucking suitcase. They took a couple £1 million in gold with them and shit.
I do either. We'll probably talk about later about some of the artefacts that were found, but they went with.
impunity.
They didn't give. Yeah, they went there thinking they stood on the right thing. Took their Nazi beliefs with them, and just the fact that it's still. I know that that Europe was in turmoil and it was falling to pieces and it was debt ridden and it was war torn and it was an absolute mess. But the fact that we got clergymen smuggling Nazis out, Nazi SS soldiers out.
Fucking Red Cross? He's supposed to help people, not smuggle out someone who killed 1 million of them.
Well, no. He was given a Red Cross passport, fake Red Cross passport. It wasn't a Red Cross.
Oh, right, you didn't say fake Red Cross. You said he went under a Red Cross passport, you didn't say fake.
Well, it travelled to Syria on a Red Cross passport. So I think it was he'd been given one, but it was faked, and I think that ALEuminati, the Austrian bishop, sorted it all out, got him a passport. So it wasn't the Red Cross going, "Are you a Nazi? Come on board." We
normally help people in war-torn areas, but since you killed 1 million, you win a passport. Off you go, pal. Take care.
You won a special lottery ticket. What the fuck was the saying again?
Yeah, so we said that these were the higher up generals.
But the only thing I can say is that these SS soldiers made it all the way to South America. So you can understand why, when people haven't seen the body of Hitler, they haven't seen Eva Braun's body, there's been no evidence given, and then you've got Stalin coming out saying, "Oh, they made it all the way to Argentina." You've got this.
And then British intelligence going, no, they didn't. Well, here's Mengele, here's fucking...
Exactly.
Here's Rolf,
and so you can completely understand how the people were worried and going, well, if they made it there, why didn't Hitler?
You've got Britain going, oh, Hitler died, he shot himself in his bunker. And you've got Stalin going, he fucked off to Argentina. And then you've got Pinochet going, his pals are here, you're not having them back.
Exactly. and you've got Argentina protecting people who are all sympathisers. You can see why
this takes a whole, suddenly it takes a whole, it's completely believable. At the point we're at now, it's completely, the point we've investigated so far, it's completely believable that...
I mean, full disclosure, before we even started this was a completely believable, it might still be at the end, but it was completely believable to me that this could happen.
Yeah.
You look at the people they found in South America, it's like, it's not under if these guys can escape, it's not under the realms of possibility that Hitler didn't shave his moustache, shave his head, look, sunglasses and a mask or whatever, could easily, if these guys can get there, why couldn't he? Could easily change his appearance.
When we put out the way we've done so far, with the evidence we've done so far, it's more believable that Hitler went to Argentina with Mengele than he died in a bunker and shot himself.
Without a body being found.
Yeah.
Or presented.
Without a body being presented. Talk about the body, going back, so it was in July 1945 that Stalin said they'd gone to Spain and Argentina. In July 1945, British newspapers repeated comments from a Soviet officer that a charred body discovered by the Soviets was a very poor double.
Yes.
American newspapers also repeated dubious quotes, such as that the Russian garrison commandant of Berlin, who claimed that Hitler had gone into hiding somewhere in Europe. Despite the official conclusion by Western powers and the consensus of historians that Hitler killed himself on the 3rd of April 1945, it even caused a minor resurgence in Nazism during the Allied occupation of Germany. So this was, you've got Russian officers coming out and going, that body would burn, were a poor double of him.
Yeah, but that was Gustav Weller, that was a doppelganger. He used to use doppelgangers all the time, to remember in 1945, he'd not been actually seen in public for about a year because there was an assassination attempt, wasn't there?
Was that the suitcase under the table, I think it was?
So he'd not even been seen in public for a while. Not properly outside of his SS soldiers and closest comrades. But what they found was Gustav Weller, the doppelganger. He was one of many, but there was a picture of him being shot in the head. And that picture that was carried around wasn't Hitler, that was Gustav Weller. It's quite easy to say, well, how many more doppelgangers did he have? How can you be... But there was no DNA, there was nothing there. It was just, all it was a body.
But the body had been burnt. You didn't have to look like him. By the time you burn it, you don't have to even look like him.
Exactly, and I think it meant that there was, because Europe was demanding, the world in fact was demanding showers a body, showers some evidence that this was Hitler and that he really, really died. And the fact that nobody really could. And then you've got the news says that the Russians have caught him, they've got him, and the Russians come out and go, no, we haven't got him, you're hiding in Britain. Oh, he's fucked off to Argentina.
And I suppose this then goes on, like say, during the Allied occupation of Germany in 1945, caused a resurgence in Nazism, which I can totally see as, you know, like bits of fucking spray paint on a wall of Hitler lives, and just stuff like that about where it's people like he's still out there, he's going to come back, he's the Führer, he's going to, and it's like it's our job to take Berlin back from the Allies and Germany back from the Allies so the Führer can come home. That mythical, legendary rebel leader.
And think about the time as well. It wasn't like today, where access to media was easy.
Oh God, no.
This was state-owned media that will give you whatever message that they want to give you.
When they want to give you it.
It's from a very small amount you can only get it in very small places. It's either going to be a single newspaper or a single, I don't know if TV channels, but maybe a single TV channel.
Single radio station, definitely, you know.
You're going to be given whatever narrative we tell you to listen to, which is how Nazis became so prominent to start with, you know, propaganda machine. They used the propaganda machine against them. And when we're talking Chinese whispers, again, I played a game with my kids, I think I said last time. There's only three of us, and me, and I said something and it came out completely different for three of them. So you can imagine how not finding a body, this, that and the other, and then Stalin saying that they're going to Argentina, with no evidence anywhere that anyone could show that Hitler's dead.
Yeah,
why this would go on to live.
I think the credence to it comes from that it wasn't a German officer, a Russian officer in a bar, it's the Russian leader saying, no, he's going to Argentina. It's like fucking Churchill coming out and saying it. You'd believe him.
Well, I think Britain,
you know what I mean?
But I don't think...
But Brits would believe him. At the time, would have gone, Churchill said it, this man won the war. He knows what's going on.
Well, it scared the Americans enough for Eisenhower to get the FBI to start investigating. You know, it was...
Like, you were there, you were in Berlin. you were just beat to his doorstep, but you didn't see a body, or you saw a burning body, and the main troops had gone, yep, that's Hitler burning, right then, off we go.
But those bodies as well, let's go back to those bodies. So, originally they didn't find any bodies at all, this is the thing. So they went to Chalice, which is blown to shit. Then the dogs were rummaging around, found some newly dug turf, and saw some legs sticking out. Charred bodies. So that's the first thing they see. And then they go, let's do an autopsy on these bodies that we see. And supposedly those two bodies were Eva Braun and Hitler.
Yeah.
So two burnt bodies that have just been dug over with their legs sticking out. Everything else is charred and pretty much unrecognisable. They do an autopsy on those and go, well, these are the bodies. So you can imagine, why would anybody believe that?
Yeah, I mean, because also, like I said, medical skills at the time to there were no DNA, there were can't get fingerprints off them. Do you have Hitler's fingerprints on file? I don't know. Even if you could, you can't get fingerprints off a charred body. You know.
I mean, that's why they said when we got the dentist, it's just Hitler's face.
But what gets me with that as well is, so the narrative is that, or the official narrative is that Hitler blew his brains out. He was brought to a cyanide pill. Then one of his most trusted generals set the bodies on fire, burnt them, dug a shallow grave, popped them in it, covered them up, and then buggered off. Right? Look at that from a human perspective. What's more likely to happen? Your leader, you idolise, has just blown his fucking brains out. The Americans coming from one side, the Russians coming from the other. You're going to take the time to do that. How long does it take to burn a body? And then you're going to take the time to do it. You're just going to fuck off.
Well, I think it was hastily done, wasn't it? It wasn't like a cremation, which is 3 hours long. It was
just burn beyond recognition and bury. But even then, still, you're talking a bit of time. You're not talking a 5-minute job. You're talking about an hour or so at least, where you've got advancing forces coming on you. You're going to risk getting captured by Russians and Germans to do this, or you're just going to do a rummer.
All I'm going to say is, I've never burned a body before, but a litre of petrol, gasoline, whatever you want to call it, a quick coal in the ground, throw his bodies in, cover it to light and go, that doesn't take an hour. That's a 5-minute haste job and gone. You can't tell that's Hitler. You can't tell that's Eva Braun.
Yeah, I don't know about if the whole staying behind to do it when you got advanced. If the leader, the guy you idolise, the guy you've been taking orders off for the last 5-10 years, whatever, has just blown his brains out because it's hopeless. You're not gonna go. I'm still gonna follow his orders. Like, well, he fucking were hopeless. I'm fucking gone, mate.
Maybe
I'm out of here.
But you got to.
Or is it just fervent
Absolutely.
idolising him? That's what I'm trying to get.
Absolutely. Remember, this was
Treated like a god, I suppose.
And if your saviour or God says this is how I want to end, and I want you to promise me that you're going to do this in my death, he didn't give stipulations about how well charged his body should be or what to do. It's just like burn it and run. So, there were still reports of. I know you're saying, you've got everyone coming from both sides, burning, about to break down Berlin, but there's still reports that there were still some planes that looked like British planes just outside which they could get in and take off from. So, pardon me. There were on April 30th reports. That Hitler had shot himself, and on May 1st he'd been killed on the front line. There was all sorts of craziness going in the news. But even there was a report up until the 22nd of April, the Nazis still had access to fly out of Germany on the East-West Avenue. It had been used as a runway, and British planes were used as disguise to leave Berlin, so that they weren't getting shot down. So that was the last report they could find, but there was nothing to say that those planes still went around after Hitler had killed himself. That these guys gone, we've got time to burn him, get in one of these planes and get out of Berlin as fast as possible. So
yeah, case of dig 2 holes, set the bodies on fire. Right, I'm gonna stand over it to the moment they're like, because I think they're charred enough, so they're not recognisable. I'll just throw the soil over the top of them. While I'm waiting for these to burn, you go get the plane ready.
Yeah.
And then I'll do this, fucking run 200 metres down the road, hop on a plane and we're off.
I mean, I don't know the truth of that, obviously, but
no, but it's feasible.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, if I think genuinely, his SS soldiers loved him. I think they genuinely loved him.
Yeah.
And admired him. And if it's someone you love saying this is what you want to do at the end of my death, you're gonna do it.
Yeah, I suppose it's that thing of if. You don't want to see one of your relatives die. You want to see them in like a nice coffin or a nice service and respectful send off. You don't want to see, even if you didn't like them, you just don't see the body desecrated.
Of course, yeah.
And this is a guy that you've given your life to. Like you're facing some heavy fucking criminal charges now, just for following orders. Whereas if they'd gone other way, you'd have been a hero.
Yeah, it was all or nothing, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're all or nothing. You've dedicated 5-10 years of your life to this. You've worked to get to this position. Yeah, I suppose see the job through.
But again, we're talking, if we're still talking the body, so that was the first grave that was found. They did an autopsy, so some of the organs were still intact and so on. And then the Soviets were like, well, we can't leave him here. So they reburied his body in a forest in Rathnau. And then 8 months later, the Soviet army moved it again to Magdeburg, and it remained there until 1970, when the Soviets were going to give over back to West Germany, and then they had to go, well, we can't leave it here. And then, so the body's being moved 3 times.
Yeah. Well, I've got a different one as well. I put, on 30th May 1946, while the Soviets were investigating rumours of Hitler's survival. So this is Soviets who said in 45 they were alive, so in 46 they're investigating it, right?
Talk about following through in your...
Yeah. So June 45 they said he's alive. July 45 Stalin said he's in Spain or Argentina. And then almost a year later, 30th May 1946, while the Soviets were investigating rumours of Hitler's survival, 2 fragments of a skull were retrieved from the crate where Hitler was buried. The left piece of the parietal bones had gunshot damage. It was kept in Russia's Federal Archives in Moscow and believed to be Hitler's for decades. In 2009, samples of the skull were DNA tested at the University of Connecticut by a bone specialist archaeologist for an episode of History Channel's Mystery Quest.
Ooh, History Channel.
Good old History Channel, good source of
Channel of Truth.
Yeah. The sample was found to be that of a woman aged under 40.
Well, there is we are going off a little bit here, but I think it's Professor Charlier who later did a further investigation in 2017.
Yeah, in 2017, Philippe Charlier, a French forensics pathologist, confirmed that teeth on one of the jawbone fragments were in perfect agreement with an X-ray taken of Hitler in 1944. This investigation of teeth by the French team, the results of which were reported in the European Journal of Internal Medicine in May 2018, found that the dental remains were definitely Hitler's teeth. According to Charlier, there is no possible doubt our study proves that Hitler died in 1945 in Berlin.
So we'll come back to that piece, I think. I think what Charlier also said is how they concluded it was a woman. He said you can't tell sex just by a cranium. It's impossible. You can't do it.
My mind's not getting wrong, so please feel free to correct us on anything in the comments. But my understanding is it's the pelvic bones where you can decide whether it's male or female skeleton because of the, if it's a woman, it's not even they don't have to have given childbirth, it's the way the pelvis is to allow for the birth canal to move and whatnot. But that's, you can't tell a male leg from a female leg or a male arm from a female arm. It's just the pelvis that you need to go, that is female, because that has a different bone density and it's more flexible to open and move through birth.
Exactly. So it's, they say, yes, DNA tests have said it's a woman, but it's also, it's not this 100%. This is a woman. It's like, it's actually, it can go either way sometimes. It's almost a toss of a coin. He said it's almost a toss of a coin about what you can get from just a cranium, and also it wasn't just a DNA, but it's about how, I can't remember. I'm terrible with this, but you've got the lines of your cranium and the change over age and changing density over age.
It's like a newborn baby has a soft spot right at the top of the head because the cranium is not fully formed, so you can see how the cranium formed, get a rough estimate of age.
Yeah, so they kind of aged it as well, so they've got the aging.
Because they said a woman under 40.
Yeah, so they aged it by you can only do it by looking, so you can't tell by DNA. But the argument is that you can't just do the cranium on its own in silo, apart cranium as well. It's got to be.
This were two pieces of a cranium, and it was one piece of the left hand side of the cranium, but the bit they tested. Because that one, there was two pieces, one from the left and the right, I think it was, and the left one had gunshot damage on it. So that's the only one they tested.
So even
they haven't got a full skull. You've got like, I don't know, it's about that big they've got or something.
So even if this wasn't Hitler and it was somebody else, you still can't guarantee that they've got that right anyway. So it doesn't make a difference. So yes, I agree they did a report and a finding, but it doesn't really stand up to proper scrutiny. It's not a proper DNA test because you can't.
Are you saying you can't rely on the History Channel for facts?
No, because ancient aliens will prove you wrong. No, absolutely can. No, so the History Channel is not the History Channel anymore, is it?
It's not.
It's a history entertainment channel of what could happen. There's all sorts on there now that it's not. To be fair, it's better now than it used to be, because now it's like, ooh, I saw Bigfoot on the toilet. Let's make a TV episode about it.
Yeah.
So it's more entertaining and more fun. They had to keep themselves alive, but they've gone from
being factual documentary to being
which only 4 people watched to look at this tantalising episode where more people are watching. So they are sticking their ass out the car window hoping for business at the moment.
Pretty much
what they're doing. But for that cranium, again coming from the cranium, it's really difficult. It's never. No one's ever going to be able to say it. It's definitely a woman, and they're definitely under 40, because you can say both of those pieces of evidence aren't really evidence.
I mean, don't forget that they had this episode of Mystery Quest, I think it was, put forward like, here's definite proof it wasn't Hitler that was found in the bunker in Berlin. It was a woman under 40, right? And then I think it was a year or two later, the History Channel launched the Hunt for Hitler TV series.
Ironic.
Coincidence that they proved Hitler didn't die in Berlin. Now they've got a full 3 seasons, I think, or 4 seasons of searching for him in Argentina.
Well, I guess we'll come to maybe something on that soon.
I'm just saying, like, when it comes to research, you go look at, like, that looks on the face, it looks like, ooh, they got a scientist in and they proved it wasn't Hitler, this must be right. Step back a bit and go, oh, by disproving that, you got this entire 4-season programme. Wonder if that was actual science you used, or is the science, can science actually do what you've just done?
Well, they do it all the time. It's so ironic and so funny that they'll do, basically, as I said, arse out the window looking for business. They'll sell anything. Mm-hmm. Anything that's got anything remotely in the past, it's now a history expose, and then we could put it onto a channel.
It is more, it's like tabloid TV, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not quite as grotesque as The Sun, but it is.
It's tabloid-esque. It's
anything that keeps the coffers running, and do you know, fair play. It sells, keeps people in business, but people should not look at the History Channel now as a point of truth.
No. I just throw it in my research because it's funny.
It is funny. But we're just, because we're talking about the body still in the skull, so this was, and just before, I went down a bit of a rabbit hole and debunked myself on one of these things. I got myself, like, what's this all about?
You went full tinfoil hat.
And then I found another article which kind of, I was about to go full blown half an hour. Let's talk about this, and then it didn't. So on the third occasion of the body being moved, and they were about the Russians were giving back West Germany. They didn't want to leave the body where it was, so it became this shrine for neo-Nazis to come over and go, well, Hitler's here, this and the other. So they were ordered to burn the remains, and the thing that we heard was that the remains were burned and then the ashes were scattered.
Yeah.
Now the problem being is bones don't turn to ash. So I was going to go down this rabbit hole of, hold on a second. They poured gasoline on the bones, burnt them, charred them as best they could, and then scattered the ashes, the brown ashes that you saw flying in the wind. Yeah. So I was about to go down, how does this happen, this and that? But then I read something else that said, actually, similarly to how we do now when we what do you call it? Cremate people.
Cremation, yeah.
Actually the bone's left and they have to grind it into dust.
You have to grind the bone into dust at a cremation. So when you get your loved one's ashes back, it's the ashes from being cremated and the bones being ground up added to the ashes.
Yeah. So I only found one article that said actually they ground the bones up with coal into dust. So they burned them, torched them, and then ground the bones to dust in coal and then scattered those ashes over.
So I'd read that when they were getting rid of the ground the bones up.
Yeah, so I didn't read anything at that point, so I was like, whoa, hold on. In the same way jet fuel can't bring buildings down.
There's a future episode.
Gasoline can't burn buildings and shit. Yeah, so I went down that route. But at the same time, if we go all the way to the end of there, you can say, why, if they wanted the world to know, if they still wanted the world to know that Hitler was dead, why not at that point just take the whole body and say, we've got Hitler? Why just go, well actually we're just going to take his teeth and a bit of it, so it gives more credence to this idea of Hitler isn't dead, because why would you want to keep a bullet hole, which could be anybody, and a jawbone? Why don't you go, well, here's his whole desecrated body, we could prove he's died. Why just keep that tiny bit of evidence?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And if you're going like, oh, we didn't want to keep it actually become a shrine to neo-Nazis and stuff. Like, you've got the fucking Kremlin. Pretty sure you've got a fucking freezer in bottom floor at like basement 22 at Kremlin or something. Yeah, you just whack it in. You know what I mean?
It doesn't make any sense, because if anything else, does it not give you power to have his body? I mean, does it not give you this?
Yeah. Can you imagine like being fucking trade negotiations with like Russia, and you go, we want this, this, and this, and you go, no, you're not getting it. No, alright then. See you at 6 o'clock news when I bring out Hitler's body. Whoa, calm down, dickhead.
So it doesn't make much sense to me that you've just kept a bit of the skull, a bit of the jaw. Why the idea was digging up. I understand not wanting a shrine, and I get that. And that's perfectly logical.
Yeah, it's perfectly logical. But again, it's that thing of, I think you've got to provide the body. You have to, like, America most recently, you know, we got Osama bin Laden, we killed him, and we dumped him out to sea so that his resting place can become a shrine. Alright, really?
Yeah, I mean,
okay, pal.
Exactly.
You know, but if you, and we stormed in and he was hiding behind two two people scared, and we shot him 3 times in the head and don't know. At that point, you've got him.
But at the same time...
At that point, you've got him. He's hiding behind a couple of kids scared for his life, pissing his pants. You've got fucking SEAL Team 6. You just grab him, bag over head, fucking wire ties around his back with his arms, get him on a chopper and get him out. And then you parade him in front of an American court and make him answer for his crimes. That's how you finish the fucking story. Don't go, yeah, we caught him, we killed him, we dumped him out to sea. No.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, again, we are going off a bit here, but it makes sense what you're saying, because this is the exact same way that it should have been dealt with. They didn't do that with Gaddafi. They didn't do that with Saddam Hussein.
No.
You know, and they didn't go in and kill Milosevic in Yugoslavia. They put him on trial.
Yeah.
You know, so...
And this wasn't like he was in a compound, had a suicide vest and everything. No, he was completely defenceless. You shot a defenceless, scared old man who was pissing his pants.
Now, don't get me wrong. If that story's true and they did really shoot him, and he really did the things he did, I can understand people getting a bit trigger happy. But at the same time, go, before we throw him somewhere you're not going to be able to find him, here's the problem.
Yeah. But
he has doppelgangers himself, I mean...
Yeah, but to me it's not ultimately, yeah, because apparently Obama were watching that feed live and stuff. You just go, he's completely defenceless, he's going to bring him in, like, we've got him. Well, how great, I'm going to be the greatest US president ever when I march out the fucking White House up to fucking Capitol, to Supreme Court, fucking holding fucking Obama,
holding Obama,
holding Osama on a fucking chain. I wear a full fucking Uncle Sam outfit with fucking Osama bin Laden on the chain going, come on man, it's your day in court. You know what I mean? Just walking up with Apollo Creed's coming to America. You know, you go full out when you've been lying in the streets like we fucking got him and shit.
You've certainly put something in my mind. I didn't just don't know before they get out.
I don't know why Apollo Creed's coming to America came in. I was watching the Kevin Smith podcast you were about it earlier. but
the hiccup is the same thing.
Yeah, like that. Osama bin Laden was completely defenceless. There's no reason to kill him. You could have brought him home quite easily and put him on trial. And then you go, oh, we killed him, but we threw him out the helicopter at sea so he couldn't turn his resting place to a shrine. But you gave us no proof you got him. Again, with Hitler, I understand them not turning his body into a shrine, but show us the fucking body. Why would you go, we ground it up into dust so it won't become a shrine? You had possession of the body. He was dead. There was no threat. It wasn't like there were neo-Nazis banging on the door to raid his body or whatever. You could have taken him up to some military facility, not even a secret facility, just held it in secret at a military base or a fucking Kremlin.
The only thing I could think of is that maybe even then they were trying to convince themselves it was him, and if you get rid of it, you can't prove it wasn't.
Alright, yeah.
I mean, there was potentially...
We burnt and crushed Hitler's bones. I'll prove it. Prove we didn't.
Yeah, so we've got... I know it came out later on, but maybe even then they were like, can we be 100% sure this is him? Not really. Well, let's just keep a bit that might be able to prove it, but just get rid of it because not even we're sure, but we'll put it to bed now. If we get rid of it, it's been put to bed.
The thing is, well, like, it's like I keep getting the teeth because the body was charred and ruined, and so, you know, the only possible identification you could do it were dental records. But wouldn't you keep, like, the skull, or at least the jaw, the full jaw, not just, like, part of his teeth? Because it wasn't the full dental set that they had.
I think it was just his lower jawbone.
It was just his lower jawbone, wasn't it, that they kept? It's like, when you keep the whole
grotesque, that. I mean, it's a bit grotesque, really. It's like, we've got his jaw, and we've got a bit of his skull. We'll just get rid of the rest.
Get rid of the rest. We've got these bits to find. It's like
it's a bit peculiar.
It is.
I mean, I've never heard of anybody else being.
So like, yeah, that kind of debunks what you're saying. Like, oh, we're going to destroy the body just in case it isn't him, but we're going to keep the bits that we're going to keep his teeth, the only bits that could possibly prove it isn't. So you're still going to be able to prove it wasn't. The teeth come back saying it wasn't him.
Well, isn't it enough down? Well, this is pre-DNA, right? So they didn't know DNA existed here. They didn't know we're going to get to the technological perspective of actually we can prove it is or isn't him by doing DNA analysis, this, that, and the leaps that were made. And so probably weren't thinking, 40 years time, if someone picks this up, we're going to be fucked. They weren't really bothered about
it. But at the time, we could identify people by dental records at the time. And your argument was, they're not quite sure it is him, so they destroy the body and go, you can't prove it wasn't him. But then they keep the only bit that they could use to identify him or not.
Because
that negates the point of keeping it, of destroying it. Sorry.
But that's enough doubt that can, if you're not sure that you've got something that you think could be persuasive, keep the thing that's persuasive without really knowing for sure the rest of it isn't, and then just get rid of it. Keep the bits that there's a hole. We've said he shot himself in the head, so we'll keep a bullet hole, and this might look like his teeth. We'll keep that.
Yeah, but there are also the things that could prove it wasn't him. The thing that can prove it is him is also the thing that proves it wasn't him. So you're kind of negating the whole point of destroying the body.
Yeah, no one really knows why they did the things they did, though. That's the problem. It fucking big.
But we don't know why Russia turned. We don't know why Stalin turned around and went, "He's not dead. He's in Argentina." We don't know why Russia destroyed this body.
Or kept just his jaw.
Or kept destroyed. Well, they could have quite easily kept the entire body.
Yeah, or even at the time, there's such a charred body. Mm-hmm. Didn't have it's not like he had his wallet on him, he was driving license and going, "I'm Adolf Hitler." It's like, it's just a man and a woman who've been charred to death. You have no recognition outside.
And like I say, we knew he had body doubles.
Yeah, doppelgangers all over the place, and more than one. So, I can completely understand where this has come from. 100% understand why it still exists now.
Yeah.
And so if we talk about Argentina, then shall we? The fact that, shall we?
I'm going to move on to, if you don't mind, I'm going to move on to where we're saying that you can understand how this theory came about and stuff, right? So that's a good point to jump into this bit, I think, that I've got here, where, so we've said where the theory came from, and the not the theory, but the official timeline, and how it's, even the official narrative is doubtful.
Yes, right? I mean, so much doubt, yeah.
And then British authors Simon Dunstan and Gerard Willems wrote the book Grey Wolf, The Escape of Adolf Hitler.
There's a few leaps in there, wasn't there?
Yeah, but this then brings it, I think this was, I don't know down what year this was, but what the point I'm trying to make was this kind of the official narrative thing, and then I think like 70s, 80s, this book came out, kind of reignited the theory again, and now we've got DNA evidence, we've got different identifying techniques, and we don't have a body. So it suggests that Hitler and Braun did not commit suicide, but actually escaped to Argentina. Right? Now we've talked about how it's possible they got there, but how they got there, the book approaches, I think it's the first time when Stalin got they're in Argentina. How do you get from Berlin to Argentina when you've got all the forces of the fucking world around you?
Well, I think Stalin said he thinks they got there via parts of Spain. He openly said that.
Yeah.
But I think that's about as far as it went.
Well, this book, Grey Wolf, The Escape of Adolf Hitler, says the scenario proposed by these two authors is as follows. A number of U-boats took certain Nazis and Nazi loot to Argentina, which is true. I mean, there's a couple of U-boats that turned up there.
And it's facts, yeah.
It's factual as well.
Yeah.
Where the Nazis were supported by future President Juan Perón, who, with his wife Evita, had been receiving money from the Nazis for some time. Hitler allegedly arrived in Argentina, first staying at Hacienda San Ramon, east of San Carlos de Bariloche. Hitler then moved to Bavarian style again.
Yorkshire.
Yeah. Going back to what we were saying, there's even not Argentinian architecture, it's Bavarian architecture in there. Hitler then moved to a Bavarian-style mansion in Alcor, a remote and barely accessible spot at the northwest end of Lake Nawal Hopai.
Is that near the Eden Hotel thing? Oh, that's something different.
No. This is he moved to a Bavarian-style mansion in Alcor, a remote and barely accessible spot at the northwest end of Lake Nawal Hopai, close to the Chilean border. Around 1954, Eva Braun left Hitler and moved to Neuquén with their daughter Ursula, and Hitler died in February 1962. Right? Now the thing about this as well in this book, like Lake Nawal actually exists, and when it says barely accessible, it's not quite right. It's backed by a big mountain range, so the only way to get into the village, which this village is all Bavarian architecture, the only way to get to it is to cross a massive lake. So if you're going to come in, the villagers have seen you coming 2 hours before you get there, kind of thing.
Right.
So this wasn't just like, oh, he's got a large thing, like probably the most fortified location you could get him. If he's probably got a fucking tunnel through mountains and You see, Britain finds out that Hitler's in this village. Right, we're going to send some guys in. You see boats come over, we've got a total fucking head start to get over mountains or through a tunnel. He's got in mountains or something. You get there, Hitler's not in the village. And he's right on the edge of the Chilean border as well, so he could be like fucking boom. Like, they spot your boat by the time you get to End of Lake. He's in fucking Chile. Which we know Pinochet were looking after him as well as Perón, so...
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of sympathisers in South America.
So this book really ignites the theory, like this is the first time where it goes into the how they got there, because it's quite factual that Nazi submarines turned up, U-boats turned up, like, not even like a full complement of crew, they had like a skeleton crew and just packed with as much fucking Nazi loot as they could get on.
I thought it was reported that the U-3523 U-boat was the one supposed to carry Hitler.
Yeah, right.
But they found that in 2018.
I can't remember which one it was, but the theory was that it dropped him off. He left the port of Spain in the U-boat. Went over to Argentina, got off at a port in Argentina, and then the U-boat went up about 50 miles up the coast, made itself like visible at like a port 50 miles up, and scuttled its then. So they're thinking, it's come from Spain to Argentina and scuttled its then, so the troops would get the crew would get rescued.
Right.
And it's just scuttled and it's knackered, but
I thought
they're thinking when he jumped off, like they had a quick stop before, let him off, and then gone up and went, oh yeah, we scuttled ourselves, we just want to come here, rather than that's how they got him into Argentina.
Because I thought the U-3523, they found the wreckage in 2018, but it's outside Denmark. So there's lots of it could be that it's done something completely different, or if he went there at all. We know for certain, absolute fact, that Nazis turned up there. Found some interesting architecture actually. There's I think in June 2017, Interpol headquarters in Buenos Aires found a hidden room in a house near the Argentinian capital and discovered on June 8th the biggest collection of Nazi artifacts in the country's history. Yeah, and that was 50 years after the fact, 60 years after the fact. No, I can't even add up. 70 years after the fact. I'm running out of fingers and toes here. 70 years after the fact, and they found the biggest hoard of genuine Nazi architecture. 70 years after.
And again,
in a house.
This is not like a couple of medals in an SS cap. This is like only the higher ups could take.
Absolutely.
The Mengels and the Hitlers have brought this, and
this would have been something. This sort of thing that we found would have been certainly had massive monetary value at the time. Would have certainly been revered as being top of the range architecture, top of the range.
Yeah, I mean, if this is if it's a lowly soldier, one, he's not been able to fucking get all that out, right? Two, even if he's managed to fucking pile it all onto the back of a wagon and get to port and stuff, do you think like as soon as that ship's taking sail, he's not getting fucking stabbed and thrown overboard, and they're splitting the loot between themselves? No, only someone like Mengele or Ralph or Hitler has hold the respect that don't get fucking touched until they land. You know what I mean?
I mean, absolutely. I was asked a question actually, because I've asked this many years ago. I knew about this conspiracy a long time ago. And
most of the conspiracies we're going to cover, we've heard about.
I had a conversation a while ago regarding this one, and I was asked a question then that I couldn't answer, but I think I can answer now. I got asked a very direct question: why Argentina? Why couldn't they have gone in so many different places? And it took me a while to realise that actually in 1945 you couldn't go to Africa because that was so many British and French colonies. Canada was a British colonialised colony. Yeah. You couldn't go to America who's just been fighting you. So Africa's out of the way. Most of Europe's in rubble, and you're not going to anywhere else in Europe. Maybe you could possibly hide in Switzerland, Italy for a while, maybe. But you're gonna get Mussolini got caught, so you're not hiding there.
No.
You can't go to the Americas. You can't go to North America. You can't go to Canada. You can't go to the United States.
No, you can't really go to Australasia because again, British colony.
Yeah, exactly. So you left you one place.
China.
It's a good point, but I think you would have stood out like a sore thumb. A U-boat turning up, and going into China, I'm pretty sure that.
Or in 1945, a white guy in China.
Oh, I'm sure there were white guys in China.
No, but not that many. You know what I mean? Enough to bring attention to yourself. Whereas
I'm sure a Nazi turning up in China might have caused waves.
And I think for me as well, Argentina is quite a big rural country. So, they built this Bavarian village back at Lake Nal, Lake Nahuel Hupai, or Wape, with shit at pronunciations, Scotch shooters. But again, this lake is sort of like, it's in Argentina, quite rural, left alone, no one around them, they get to live out their Nazi fantasy, and I'm sure fucking Hitler and Mengele and all that were there all at one point together, and if all happens, we can just duck across border to Chile, and don't forget as well that the government was sympathisers of them.
Of course, yeah.
So whereas like Italy might have been a sympathiser,
It's
for
tough
a
there.
bit,
Yeah.
it's tough there, but
the war's fought with Nazi. Well, it's fallen, hasn't it? So
yeah, but Argentina is quite a big country compared to Italy.
yeah, it's massive.
So even if the government changes and the guy who's
Peron.
Peron, yeah, if he's supporting you and he gets ousted and the winds change, you can still cross border to Chile to Pinochet. You can stick back and forth how you want.
That's exactly what they did.
Or you might not even need to stick back and forth because 60 years have gone by. You're dead. Who cares?
Well, in 1955, when Peron went out, they were worried, weren't they, when he got ousted, that could happen because they tied the tone had changed regarding Nazis within Argentina. So that's why they started going around, Brazil, Paraguay, Chile and so on.
But by that point, you can move quite freely with your new identity. Well, they didn't even change identities, did they? But they just moved. They just moved quite freely, And how do you get from Chile? How do you get from Argentina to Paraguay without being caught using your real name? Vatican Church.
Here's some Nazi gold. Can I go,
please? Here's a bit of Nazi gold. Let me through border. It's.
Or alternatively, I am a Nazi, and if you don't let me through, you get fucked.
Don't forget, they had good support around as well because they were giving Nazi salutes at a funeral in '84.
And let's not forget as well that the Argentinians weren't just sympathisers. They weren't just going, we're sympathising.
I will ignore this while we get your money, and then when you stop giving us money, you're off. You're like, no, they were full on supporters.
But they also did get support and finance from them. But also, I think they were under the impression that if we allow these Nazis to come over, like Operation Paperclip, we're going to get some really talented Nazis coming over here. And Peron, he kind of knew that the Cold War was coming. He knew that there was going to be a war between USSR and the United States, and he could see it. And he was trying to position himself as being a place of power where there's a war against Russia. They've got some good technology coming and some good scientists. America's going to need some backup. And Argentina can be that backup. And he was positioning himself.
He positioned himself to take a step on global stage and just be like, we are, like, you always think Argentina, you think of, basically comes head as a fantastic football team.
Yeah.
Can't think of a number two. Nazi sympathisers, probably. But they were Peron were kind of trying to shape them into a technological powerhouse. Like, we have rocket technology, we have...
that's what he wanted, I think.
Yeah, that's how he envisioned it, and it just turned out where they went, no, we're right, so where are all the scientists?
He's got the murderers instead.
Where are all the scientists? America got them there. Yeah. But I thought you were bringing all the rocket engineers with you. Nah, I brought some gold though. America got them. But why are you here? Nice climate, we'll get left alone. Good little retirement colony we built here.
We're all good mates, aren't we? Lots of Germans and Spanish and Italians here, and ironically, they're the people who were sympathisers to the Nazis,
It just basically became the turnaround student to a retirement colony, didn't they? Like, we're not going to do out again. I don't even fucking I don't know, I find it quite fucking ironic if I found out a little bit more research, I found out that Mengele moved to a little village in Chile, became a fucking general practitioner. After what he did at fucking Auschwitz.
He'd be a pretty good doctor by that point, I think he knows.
It would, yeah, he'd be pretty good at it. But no, essentially they all just fucking retired, didn't they? They just kind of went, we're going up to live out our days, we're good here.
Exactly.
And I think Hitler went there at first to kind of go, right, I'm going to go, this is a place to dissipate where we're going to be looked after and protected. And then once this all collapses and the Nazis rise again, I'll fucking come back from the dead like a messiah, and the Third Reich never ended, and
But
come back and take control again.
isn't that the point, though? I mean, that didn't happen. So,
but it does have that kind of second coming fable to this conspiracy theory that, like, when the rumours of Hitler going out caused a resurgence in Nazism during the Allied occupation. So it's a case of like, the people are going to overthrow the Allies because they want Nazism, and they're going to show they want us, and you can't enforce a sovereign country because that's what they were fighting against Hitler doing. And then suddenly when they kick all the Allies out and the Nazis take over again, Hitler just kind of responds in and goes, alright lads, I heard you wanted me. And it's like, oh, he's back, the Messiah's back, the Führer's back. And he just kind of makes it even more legendary. So I think originally he went out to Argentina to kind of, let's wait, I'll pick my time to return. And then it's just got longer and longer, and it's like, yeah, we're not returning now, let's just live out our days in chill.
well, you have to believe he went there. But I think, had Argentina accepted the Nazis and accepted Hitler at the time, I would have expected to see an attempt at the government turning into the next state. Ultimately, if Perón loved Hitler so much and Hitler was there, he would have expected would have started taking on some of his policy and some of the way that he worked, and possibly allowing Nazism to rise again. We didn't see any of that.
No.
But the America though were were convinced a little bit, weren't they, that something was going on, because the FBI did raise a case.
Do you think that's a bit of guilty conscience though? Because like you've mentioned Operation Paper, well, we've both mentioned Operation Paperclip a couple of times tonight, where America basically gave immunity and protection to German scientists so that they could build rockets and shit.
NASA, thank you very much, built on the backbone of Nazi scientists. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great show. I'm not going to say it's factual, but I think it's For All Mankind. I think it's called.
An Apple.
Yeah, where
good,
the guy running the space race gets outed as being a SS officer, and I don't know if that's true or not. I think it's true.
I honestly can't.
I don't know. No, I know it's. I can't remember the guy, but I know it's true that he took over the space program. He was responsible for getting man on the moon. But I don't know if it's true he got outed for being a Nazi, or that's dramatised in the show.
That's just For All Mankind.
But America were keeping that secret, and it wasn't that one until the 60s that it came out that they went, yeah, actually it's called Operation Paperclip. Here's all the thing. Here's all the scientists we brought over. We'll all round up to it. But they did it secret till the 60s. So then you hear this rumour that Hitler managed to escape and went to Argentina and they protected him, and you go, oh, that's bollocks. Argentina wouldn't do that. They're not Hitler, they're putting forward. And then America go, actually, we've been hiding these Nazi scientists who committed atrocious things. And you're like, well,
genuine Nazis.
Yeah, like, well, if we could do it, then Argentina probably could.
Well, the Russians did it as well.
Yeah, so I think it's like when it came out in the 60s, it added more credence to it, that this becomes believable, because it's like, you go, well, this is believable what was spoke about. So I'm like, yeah, because we know what happened with German scientists with America. We know this is exactly how it happened. This is more or less a carbon copy story.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas Argentina, Perón took the Nazis into Argentina hoping to get some technology and step on the globe stage and make Argentina a global power. Instead, he got all the generals who just wanted the murdering bastards who just wanted to retire, and America handpicked the guys it wanted and got a man on the moon out of it. Like, imagine if it was the way around, if Argentina they'd have brought Hitler and Mengele and Ralph and all that over and went, but you have to bring these guys as well. And Argentina put the first man on the moon.
Ooh, that would have been interesting.
Where would Argentina be on now on the global political stage?
Well, it's impossible to.
I mean, that's the roll of the dice I think Perón took, thinking, if I take Hitler and Mengele, and these guys are arseholes and I don't want them, but they're going to bring these rocket scientists and we could have a space race and we could have, instead of Cape Canaveral in Florida, we might be launching rockets from Argentina.
Buenos Aires, yeah, I mean, it's not. I assume that's what. Well,
I assume that's why he did it.
Partly, I would have thought he could be a new powerhouse. He couldn't.
I think lining his pockets while he was at it didn't hurt.
No, of course not. And Nazism kept up, but it's. I think it's important that we do mention that the FBI did raise cases, and they did. But it's funny why, because I think if you raise, or back then, I don't know if it's the same anymore, but if a case is raised with the FBI, it has to be investigated.
Yeah.
And there were reports of seeing Hitler on the subway, in a shop, doing some shopping.
It got very Elvis-like, didn't it? I saw Elvis in Tesco buying baked beans.
Yeah, exactly. And so that they had to do all these domestic cases. Then they started hearing cases. They knew Nazis had turned up in Argentina. They knew it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They'd been seen U-boats. There'd been sightings of all these Nazis turning up, and so they had to go do their own investigation in Argentina. The problem being is, even with all the released FBI files, it doesn't matter what this bloody Finding Hitler scenario talks about. The FBI files show it effectively came to a dead end. We couldn't find any evidence that Hitler was in the United States or in Argentina. And there's a bit of a... People keep talking about Hitler being in Argentina, but there's loads of books about reports of being in Egypt and Paris and Japan and all sorts, all over the world.
Yeah, I think that's just once this theory got out, it just kind of it could have gone here, it could have gone. There's people just trying to add to the legend and get their name known.
Because there was thousands of letters.
They just mentioned Hunting Hitler. Investigations of the History Channel series Hunting Hitler claim to have found previously classified documents, which I don't think they showed. They just said they found them. And to have interviewed witnesses indicating that Hitler escaped from Germany and travelled to South America by U-boat. He and other Nazis then allegedly plotted a Fourth Reich. I think maybe plotted a return to power for the first 4 or 5 years and just went, this isn't happening.
They didn't have that many Nazis.
However, such conspiracy theories of survival and escape have been dismissed by historian Richard J. Evans. A declassified CIA document dated 3rd of October 1955 highlights claims made by self-proclaimed former German SS trooper named Philip Citroen that Hitler was still alive and that he left Colombia for Argentina around 1955. Enclosed with the document was an alleged photograph of Citroen and the person he claimed to be Hitler. On the back of the photo was written Adolf Hitler and the year 1954. The report also states that neither the contact who reported his conversations with Citroen nor the CIA station was in a position to give an intelligent evaluation of the information. The station's chief superiors told him that enormous efforts could be expanded on this matter with remote possibilities of establishing anything concrete, and the investigation was dropped. So the CIA got wind of this and got given here's this guy's witness statement and here's a photo that he's wrote on the back of it and this is the name Hitler's using. And the CIA went, we could put a fuck ton of time and money into this and get nowhere. We're not even going to investigate, it's not worth our time.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget, how many photos could you take that you go, that kind of might resemble something, might resemble someone. Could be a complete forgery, could be fake.
This is what gets me with Hitler. Like, Hitler is... Because I was looking at photos, I've seen a couple of photos while researching this and sort of like, this is a photo of Hitler, this is a photo of Hitler. You're like, could that be him? Could it be him? And I've read, I looked through a lot of photos of actual photos of Hitler, like that is Hitler at the Reichstag and stuff like that. And it's like, if you remove his moustache and his hair, he's a very plain looking normal guy. There's only two characteristics of Hitler. You could draw any face, any style of face you want, and put that little side parting on and that little Charlie Chaplin moustache. Because I refuse to call it anything else, because Charlie Chaplin wore it first.
And I'm sorry, Adolf, but you ruined it.
You ruined good moustache and good comedy for people. But if you remove that moustache and that side parting hair, Hitler's very fucking average looking with no real defining features.
I mean, there's this. You guys won't see it on camera, but there's a.
You've got a copy of that photo, like digitally?
Yes, I do.
Right, well, I'll put that up while we're talking about this. I can put it on screen.
Yeah. So there's a picture doing the rounds of Hitler bald without his moustache, which is meant to be showing him as this really old man.
Mm-hmm.
The issue with this picture, and it is Hitler, 100% is Hitler. The problem being is it was created by an Argentine documentary company in the 1990s. And the picture below is based upon a photo taken Bernstein on Hitler's home movies. And all they've done is de-aging. So they've taken his moustache off, taken his hair off and aged his face.
It 10 years from the sun.
It was Hitler.
So that actually was it. But, as you can see my point there, he doesn't have any real defining characteristics to his face. He's a very normal, average-looking guy.
There's absolutely no way that if anybody looked at that face, that moustache comb over and a bit aged, you'd even consider that to be Hitler. You just think that's just a general old guy.
It's every old guy you meet on every street ever.
I mean, this again. We will put the picture on there. It's a very famous picture, but it might have fooled a lot of people actually because it's quite a compelling picture actually. But there's no way that that's.
Well, we know that's fake because they've admitted to it, but it proves the point I was making.
No one admitted to it. Someone had to find this and go, "This is from his home movies," you know. But it's banded around.
No, but it's kind of been proven that that's been
absolutely
digitally enhanced and whatnot. But that proves the point I was making, where you remove that comb over, you remove that moustache.
Yeah.
Hitler could be anyone in any town. You know, it's like we're sat here going, did he go to Argentina or not? And it looks like a dude I've drank an angel with for the last 20 years. You know what I mean? It looks like 2 or 3 people in Angel I could go, actually put a comb over and attach on you, you're Hitler. So to me, the fact that, how could someone as recognisable as Hitler escape to Argentina and not be noticed? Very fucking easily. Get rid of the comb over, turn his moustache, his own fucking generals won't notice him.
So, there's do you know the guys who did the Grey Wolf, Gerard Williams?
Yeah.
He reckons that a shadow government in the United States, comprising a military-industrial complex.
It's not a good conspiracy theory about a shadow government.
Of course not. It's like the MI5 and Paul McCartney. But we can hide a body. And what do
we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
I'm not going to do the crayons, not today.
no crayons today.
But they're also, you know, the blanket bombing, everything. It was. Now, I think that in order for this conspiracy to work, it would have to have complicity from a major superpower. It would have to have. It wouldn't. Argentina. So, think of all the countries the America have gone to war with over something smaller than Hitler. It would have to
I disagree.
It'd have to have complicity.
I disagree. We're gonna say, yeah, good point, well made. Like, how many countries of America have gone to war for a lot less than this, right? But this is the perfect time for Argentina to go up against America. They could not openly publicly say we've got Hitler, but probably through back channels and diplomacy channels go, yeah, we've got him. What the fuck are you gonna do about it? Because at this point, every fucking country in the world is fucked. We're war-torn, we're knackered, we're skinned.
Not the Americans. We owed them shitloads of money.
Yeah, but they're not ready for another. They spent so long trying to start the war that Eisenhower had to fucking do weapon deals with Britain on the fucking table.
I completely disagree. We just dropped.
I don't think that the American public would have accepted another war so soon after. It's kind of like, you know what? We can't leave one war, dive straight into another.
Think of
maybe send some special force in there, some intelligence, black ops, but we can't go full out war. And Argentina can just go, yeah, we know you can't.
I disagree. If you think of 1945, think of how the America think they won the Second World War, but think about what they had in their armoury at that time. We have just fucking dropped 2 atom bombs in Japan. We've just fucking destroyed everything. We have got the greatest weapon known to mankind in our armoury, and we've just showed you we're prepared to drop it.
We're trigger happy.
And we're
looking for another target. Yeah.
So you give me fucking Hitler, we're going to tell the world you've got Hitler, you're not prepared to give us him, or we're going to fucking drop a bomb on you. And when we've obliterated Buenos Aires, we're going to go somewhere else. You give us Hitler, and we're going to be even bigger heroes because we just got the head of the Nazis. Either, there's no way America would have given up that. I don't believe it. Not in 1945. There's no way they would have. That would have said, not only did we win the war, but we caught the bastard.
As horrible as it sounds, because to kill like a fucking couple of million people between them, but yeah, I can see him doing it for Hitler. I can't see him doing it for Mengele.
No, absolutely not. So it's like little guys. People.
I know they killed 2 million people. I'm not dismissing like they're nobodies, but you know they killed like 2 million people.
But the media didn't know about this. People weren't going, oh, let's go get Mengele. They weren't thinking that. They were going, we need Hitler.
Yeah.
And if they thought they had Hitler, if you believe for 1 second, they didn't go, well, we just did it to Japan. We're going to do it to you too. Give us what we want. They'd have used their power.
No, but that's they were at war with Japan. Japan had just fucking wiped out hundreds like thousands of American troops in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Which, that's another conspiracy theory, because I believe America
Winston Churchill allowed it to happen, yeah.
Eisenhower allowed it to happen.
Well, Churchill told them about it and all that sort of thing.
Eisenhower went, oh, I've been wanting him into this war for a while. Let's
It's a wonderful way to get into war.
They dropped atom bombs on Japan
in
response to thousands of American deaths.
But it only take a warning. Right. We don't have to say you don't actually have to drop it.
Yeah, but then as Perron, you just go back and go, you say it's going to drop an atom bomb and wipe out hundreds of thousands of people because you want one man. Really, how is that going to play out? Let's see how long you stay president. But you know these war crimes you've got going in the egg, I'll fucking put you up on one of them.
Well, could you not just say as the Americans going, that one man you're talking about, not only is he responsible for 6 million Jews, he's responsible for millions and millions of people's death in war. 100,000 Argentinians for capturing a guy who's got tens of millions of deaths.
I think the repercussions of when the Holocaust came to light and what happened, when we discovered what was happening with the Holocaust, that this was happening, like, now you can be done for war crimes. Because I remember war crimes only came about after World War II. There wasn't war crimes before that.
I'm not sure.
Because that's why they hit the Nuremberg trials are so famous, because it was like, except when the first bit, it's when the first...
Like the prisoner of war stuff, you can only hold a prisoner of war.
Yeah, there were rules of war, it's like look after officers and stuff, but the whole like SS officers going like, oh, I'm just following orders, that is not a suitable defence for wiping out hundreds of thousands of people. Like, so I think war crimes became a thing, again, prove me wrong, quite happily, but war crimes became a thing, so if you're setting up these war crimes trials to put, I don't say, again, I'm not saying nobody's because they're quite right, they got found guilty.
Bastards.
But you know, these guys went, I was just following orders, just doing my job. And like, no, you're getting fucking on these war trials and there's going to be an international thing. You're setting them up and then at the same time going, I will fucking kill 1 million of your people if you don't know that one man. I just go, see you in fucking egg, mate. Let's go Nuremberg trials, because that is the biggest war crime of all. You're going to murder 1 million people just to capture one man. How does that make you better than Hitler?
Let's put it this way: if that threat wouldn't happen publicly, would it? That'd be under the radar.
Better believe I'd go public with it. Oh, he's just trying to bomb 1 million, just trying to wipe 1 million people out of win you because he wants one man who's not even here.
No, but what you could say to Argentina, and this is just go with it for a second. You could say to Argentina, you're Argentina, I'm the United States. You've got Hitler, like. I know you've got him, and I want him. I want that bastard. Yeah.
Don't have him, he's not here. Can't give you what I don't
have. We know you've got him, and I'm going to take him. So, you've just seen what we've done to Japan. So, you know we've got the power. I am going to tell the world whatever the fuck I fancy, so that everybody knows that you're harbouring Nazis, harbouring Hitler. We're going to put down all the media that I control about how much of a fucking bastard you as a country are, and I can guarantee in the next 2 days, the world will want to go to war with you.
Guarantee the next 20 minutes I'm on air saying American president is just trying to kill 1 million people because we won't hand over a guy who's not even fucking here. He's going to bomb Argentina and like all these war crimes that are going on. Can we not be charging this dickhead?
Can I just say I own the media and no one's seeing that shit.
Argentinian media's going out and Russia will quite happily play it. Japan will quite happily play it.
Well, Russians won't play it because they've been telling me for ages you've got him. So we're telling.
There's a Cold War coming. You said he's dead. They said he isn't.
So, but
you know what I mean. This is. I don't see that threat at work because you instantly become the one. We want him to prove how good and pious we are. What, by doing exactly the same shit he was going to do?
Come on, let's not pretend that they are good and pious. You know.
Well, they're not. But you know what I mean. But that's how they're trying to put themselves in 1945. So like you're going, no, you're going to fucking kill 1 million people just to get one guy. How does that play out?
I just think at the end of the Second World War, if someone said the icing on the cake is I can give you Hitler by hook or by crook, by any means necessary, they would have gone and gone.
I don't think they would have done. I honestly think they'd have gone, do you know what, that took a big fucking drain on us, did that war. We can't go to war. We just finished war last week. We can't go again a week later. We can't have 7 days peace and go to war again. Right? We've got peace treaties to sort out, we've got war crimes to sort out. Russia is, these commies are looking like they're going to be a bit of a problem. We need to keep it out. We've got a war with Argentina, we've got to take our eye off Russia, and we can't do that right, we're going to focus on Russia right now. And you know what, this is one guy, they saying that they're telling us in diplomat channels that they've got him, and that they're wanting this and that. Tell them to fuck off, because we're told the world is dead.
So you agree then, with Gerard Williams that if they did have him, if Argentina did have him, that there needs to be a shadow government in the United States comprising the military-industrial complex and its representative, and they colluded to enable Hitler to escape and stay in Argentina.
No, I don't think the clues. I think maybe they found out after he got there. And Argentina, like Perón trying to, like I was saying earlier, Perón trying to become a player on the world stage, going, we've got some Germans, we've got some Nazis, we've got some technology coming. Do you want to get together? And you go like, well, we've got all the fucking scientists. What the hell have you got? We took the best of it. We've got Hitler.
But they would have had to have had the power to quash the FBI investigations, quash the CIA investigations, hide Hitler in Argentina. So there must have had to have been, if he was there, and America knew, there would have had to have been a shadowy...
No, I don't think. Well, I think maybe I can see it as maybe Argentina made the claim, and America went. Do you know when we haven't got the time or the resources to investigate this because we've got bigger things to look at with Russia on Horizon and shit, and the war crimes and rebuilding Europe and how what's our place in Europe going to be? Because we came in to help them at the end, so we want a bit more power here, and so there's all these negotiations going right now with peace treaties and shit. And if we're going to spend a lot of time and effort to investigate it, and if it is true, is it? Really, we can. Do you know what? We don't need to investigate. We could just say we've said he's dead. Let's just keep saying he's dead. And like suddenly, whatever power Perón's got, but I've got Hitler. We don't give a shit, mate.
Suppose you take the power away, we don't care. Yeah.
We've destroyed Germany. We've destroyed Germany. We're a major force in rebuilding Europe. We're looking at bringing down those commie bastards over there. We're going to break that iron wall, that iron curtain down in a bit. So yeah, what do we get out of getting him? Is it worth the investigation? Because we take all this time and resources to investigate to prove you've got him, then it starts extensive negotiations and all this stuff for what reward, really? Because we have to come out and go, we've got Hitler. Well, I thought you said he were dead. Yeah, where did you go? He's dead, we don't care. He's no power, he's a no one now. He's absolute no one.
Well, he's not the nobody. He's the world's most hated man. And think of the lengths they went to try to get Che Guevara. All the fucking things they tried to do to get him. It's like,
like in Castro, and
Castro,
but he was in power. He was in power when they were trying to get him.
But this is the world, in the same way we were talking about Bin Laden before. This was the world's most wanted man.
But Bin Laden was in power.
He wasn't in power at all. He wasn't in power of Afghanistan.
No, but he was still a figurehead of that. There was still people actively rallying around that.
He was a figurehead of a terrorist group. Are you telling me that Hitler wasn't the figurehead of a terrorist group?
I think he had no power. He was dead. He had no power. It was just like...
We're missing the point of him being alive.
No,
if he was alive, you're going to go get him.
No, but the world thinks he's dead.
No, but they don't think he's dead, because Stalin said he's alive and he's in Argentina. America's gone, really?
No, publicly, okay. America and Britain have gone, he's dead. Privately, America was an FBI investigation to look at... But only, did they look at it because they believed it, or did they look at it because if it's reported to the FBI, it has to be...
Well, no, because Eisenhower was given a conversation piece behind closed doors, and he's like, holy shit, really? It's down there that we're going to have to go find out. That's the conversation.
Is it really a thing, or is it just a case that... have a look into that.
All I know is if I was Eisenhower, I perceive I've just won the war by blowing up Japan. I find out that the most wanted person in the history of mankind, or at least in the 20th century, is just over my fucking border, and I can go, not only did we win the war, but I'm going to go get the big bad bastard. I'd do whatever it took to go get him.
I don't know. I think, personally, put someone in the village. Put someone in the village, keep an eye on him. See if he does or if he's doing anything. But right now, we've told the world he's dead. The world thinks he's dead. He has no power. He's no fucking... We've got bigger fish to fry. We've got bigger things to look at. I'll put someone in that village that he's living in just to keep eyes on him. But, like maybe the fucking... Oh, look, a new bar's opened up in his village and it's the fucking Bavarian landlord who's a CIA operative or something. But, yeah, apart from that, I can't see any reason to do it. He has no power. He has no influence anymore. You gain nothing by bringing him back. So all you do, you bring him back and go, we got Hitler, you said he was dead. Yeah, but actually he got away from us and we thought, so America's not that great. You do more damage to yourself by parading than you do by letting the lie continue to live that he died.
I suppose it could go either way. But yeah, we'll go into a different topic.
Right, so we've discussed, could he be there? And we kind of hinted earlier how we got there, in U-boats and stuff. But I've got a bit here, about how they...
You've got a lot of German writing there.
Yeah. We've kind of established that if Hitler did get to Argentina, he went from Spain to Argentina in a U-boat.
And the benefit of him going there for the Nazis and for the Argentinians, and there's lots of
Right. But how did he get from Berlin to Spain?
And
we kind of hinted at this earlier.
but it might have had to have been smuggled.
So, according to Williams and other historians, Hitler and his wife made their escape through a network of bunkers beneath battle-torn Berlin. They resurfaced at a boulevard which had been turned into a makeshift runway. Here, a Luftwaffe pilot called Peter Baumgart frantically flew the Führer and Eberborn to Denmark. They later flew on to Spain, where they were allegedly aided by dictator General Franco, and eventually took a grueling submarine trip across the Atlantic to Argentina. Peter Bergmark would later testify in court that he did indeed fly Hitler to safety in 1945.
So he would have gone through the rat lines into Europe, hit underground rat lines, found himself in Spain, go to Denmark.
No, he went through a network of bunkers in Berlin,
Right.
came out on a boulevard, which you mentioned quite back at the beginning, that had planes and the disguise that could take out. So the boulevard in Berlin, so they went through a network of bunkers in Berlin, came out the boulevard, hopped in a plane, flew to Denmark, then flew from Denmark to Spain, and Franco got them into a sub where they allowed a U-boat into Spanish port where Hitler could get on it and go to...
So one quick question. Flying to Denmark in the Second World War from Germany, are we saying that Denmark wouldn't have raised any eyebrows? Or the Brits going, what's that German plane flying over to Denmark?
You said earlier they had planes in Berlin on the boulevard that were disguised so they wouldn't get shot down.
Yeah, but if the British planes, I understand, like, if you've got British planes flying out of Germany at that time, just flying out, and you're going, because our planes would have been there the whole time. And at a certain point you're going, our plane's going in a fucking weird direction, and they might have, but you can't really catch them.
Yeah.
But watching planes going from Germany to Denmark, the World War's not really over. Yeah, we've said the World War's over, but you've still seen German planes flying to Denmark. You didn't be shut down.
Didn't really have massive radar capabilities to cover.
No, but surely even Denmark would have gone, hold on, there's a plane coming from Germany.
I don't know how Denmark are aligned on that. And
all I know is if somebody had entered my airspace, if I'd have had nothing to do with it.
But we didn't really have airspace, did we?
I don't know.
Like in 1945, we couldn't tell. Like now, we can track a plane from where it took off in Germany to where it lands in England. But we could only track so many miles off the coast of Dover.
Yeah.
So if you take off from Germany, you might pop up on radar for a bit because there's a British radar nearby. As soon as you clear that radar space, you're flying like so. When you come into Denmark, a British plane landing in Denmark, they don't know where you come from. They want to see you for the last mile or two of your journey.
Well, if it was a British plane disguised, yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
So you want to see you for the last mile. You can't go, you know, in Denmark going, where's this plane why is this plane from Germany landing here? They don't know it's from Germany.
That's true.
They want to see you for the last mile or so, or maybe 5, 10 mile, whatever, but not seeing for its entire, you can't plot it like we can go on a phone now and plot an entire plane journey.
Until they speak to them and they go, that's a funny Cockney accent.
But would Denmark land with Nazis in World War II? I'm not really sure, but could they have a little... Could land, they were taken off a fucking street in Berlin, they could have landed in a farm in Denmark.
Yeah, it's true, it's fine. Yeah, I mean...
It's possible.
Yeah,
it's plausible.
There's a possibility.
We don't, because we're thinking in the 2020 lens of where, you know, I went to Germany last year, I flew from Manchester to Dusseldorf and from Dusseldorf to Leeds when I came back, just because the only flight from Leeds went 3 in the afternoon, I had to be in Germany for 9 in the morning, I had to be in Cologne, so I had to fly to Manchester, but when I was flying back, I flew from Dusseldorf to Leeds, and I gave my missus the flight number, and the house we were living at the time, we flew right over the flight path, we were right on the flight path, so I remember looking at it, really, really cute, but my missus were tracking the flight on the phone, so that when we came over, we flew right low over our house, because we were like, about a mile, maybe a mile and a half from the airport, so we're quite low getting ready to land. So as I was looking out the window seat, I could see my missus in our back garden waving at me. But you couldn't do that in 1945.
You soppy bastard.
It was quite cool.
To give him some hate in the comments for that shit. Come on.
I'll tell you off camera what she actually did. She didn't wave, but she did something else. But yeah.
I don't know. That's a big finger.
But no, she waved at me. I'm only joking. She waved at me, and it was quite cute to see that. I'd been away for 4 days in Germany, and Yeah, just looking out the window and like, oh look, there's my street, oh there's my house, and there's my girlfriend just waving at me in the back garden. It was quite cool, and she looked mental. But my point is, we can do that today. You couldn't do that in 1945.
Okay.
You'd only see that plane. If that plane came into England, you'd see it maybe a mile or two off the coast of Dover, say, right? And then once it gets a mile or two past Dover, you've lost it.
So,
because we had radar around the coast, but we didn't have radar in land.
what was that guy's name again who said he...
Peter Baumgart.
So when he said it in court...
He testified in 1940. He testified in court later.
Which court? Is it like...
I've not got it down here. He said he testified in court. He would later go on to testify in court that he did indeed fly Hitler's safety in 1945.
So, I'm just going to make sure that you've never... No one's ever lied in court before, have they?
Well, it's an offence to do so.
So, in 1945, if I'm a Nazi, and I love my Führer, and I would do whatever it took to muddy the water to say he didn't die. No fucking way. I flew him. I know for a fact he's alive. I flew him. He's not dead. Prove it. Not got a body. He's alive. I did it. Keep his.
I mean, just because he testified in court, like I testified in court, so it must be the truth. He's on a plea deal. Is he trying to save his skin?
We don't know what.
You see when you get like little fucking street drug dealers get busted, so they get off because they get off with they don't get a prison sentence because they shot in the big guy above them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They get like, oh, you're looking at 4 years in prison. Well, actually, I get my drugs off this guy, and this is where he lives, and this is where I get them off, and this is how I buy him, and this is how I get in touch with him. Alright then, well, you get 12 months suspended sentence, and we'll get the big guy now, and he's getting 15 years. Is it that kind of thing where he's gone, I know stuff, I know this kind of, I flew Hitler to safety. Alright, now we've got a plea deal, now you've got information to give us.
Or is it a case of, he's just someone who goes, if I say I saw Hitler and I flew him away, my name's going to be big news. Doing it for infamy,
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if how many authors are going to pay for his story, how many papers are going to pay for his story. And,
exactly.
So it lives on forever.
It could have done. It absolutely could have done, but you also need to take into consideration that there's one reason to tell the truth and 500 reasons to tell lies on this one.
Well, saying that, my next note underneath that one is General Eisenhower, who will go on to become US President, is quoted saying, "There is every assumption that Hitler is dead, but not a bit of conclusive proof that he is dead."
And that's the whole problem with this conspiracy. That's been the whole problem the whole time. That's a really good quote, because that's true. Since day one, there's enough evidence, unsubstantiated evidence to say that he didn't survive, but we haven't got a body.
Yeah, and the whole theory itself is completely and utterly plausible.
And that's another problem, because you see genuine people so close to Hitler turning up in Argentina and South America that if they can do it, why can't he? I haven't got a body. No. Why can't he turn up? And so you can understand, I can completely understand why this whole theory's got legs. And it just comes down to one very, very simple. If this didn't exist, I could very, very much follow this. It's just the teeth. It's just the jawbone. It's so specifically his that, again, we'll put in the because I've got a copy of this, but we'll put on screen as well so you guys can see. But this is an X-ray of Hitler's teeth.
Mm-hmm.
There's 1 of 5 in his skull that were taken, and so specifically his that it's almost I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's almost impossible to fake. The jawbone is so specific because he's had so much work done. It's so unique to him that in 1945, maybe they've had this job for 30 years.
Yeah.
They could possibly. I'm not saying there's not skilled people who couldn't have manufactured it.
But also, could it be I think record keeping in the World War as well. So so much information was lost and so many records were lost and stuff that we just happened to have this X-ray. Could we not get an X-ray of someone and just put Hitler's oh, we've got this guy here, right? Take an X-ray of his head. We'll keep his jawbone and we'll mark that X-ray as Hitler. Proves it's him.
Possible.
That's not a difficult conspiracy to carry out.
No, I would say that when the Allies went...
let's get some fucking Soviet prisoner who's everyone fucking forget his, kill people regularly in KGB, so let's get this guy with he's got a really unique dental pattern. Right, let's fucking X-ray his skull, kill him, keep bottom part of his jaw, and we'll say it's Hitler, because it's so unique that you can't say it's not.
I think Hitler was renowned though. It wasn't just a case of just an X-ray, but it was the stories and all sorts of him hating the dentist and having bad teeth, and you can sort of see his teeth as shit. But
let him marry up though. He hates the dentist and his teeth are shit, but he has this unique dental work.
Yeah, he hated it though. He hated it. His teeth were so bad that it was just like full of very specific, unique bridges that were built just for him. And so, in order for this conspiracy to work, for me personally, I would have to say that this jawbone that has been looked at now in 2017, which marries up to when the dentist said I was his dentist and drew kind of this is what, because it was so unique. It looks like this.
I remember the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I did it back decades ago when I worked as a joiner. I remember I built hundreds of stud walls, but I remember one stud wall in particular 20 years later because it was so unique to build it and put it in place.
So for that dentist as well, remember, Berlin's just fallen. You've got a fucking Soviet soldier with a gun to your temple saying, tell me, is this fucking Hitler? So, well, it is, because this is very specific and very unique. I can imagine the pressure that guy would have been under, because I don't
tell
know
him whatever they want to hear.
But potentially so. Is it Hitler? Yes. Why? Well, there's two sides of the conspiracy we're going to look at now. Either the dentist was complicit in saying it's Hitler because, and the Soviet at the time have gone, is this him? If it's not him, say it is and draw it.
Yeah.
Let's get that down documented. Okay. Do we know who this guy is? No. Here's a dead body. X-ray this motherfucker quickly.
Yeah.
Let's get some X-rays in there. Let's date him however we see fit. Now we're going to go burn this body, take his jawbone, and now we're going to fix that's his Hitler because we've lost him, and now he's gone to Argentina. That's one way. That's one way of saying
that's happening.
That's one way of saying it's happening. Or the other is, whilst it was fucking chaos at the end of the Second World War, they found a body that's been burnt per wishes as per the will and testament. They fucking scoured Germany and found his dentist and said, we found a body, is this Hitler? What was his, he's got a unique jaw, what was it like? Can you show me his X-rays? And they found it in the Berlin hospital and said, this is his X-ray dated with all his references and stuff on there from previous years. Does this marry up?
That's a bit too convenient for me. You've got all the fucking bombing and shit that went on in Berlin, the complete absolute destruction of Berlin and stuff.
But not everything turned to dust.
I know not everything turned to dust, but we moved this body 3 times and it happened to keep the one piece of evidence that marries up to this dental record we've got.
It's weird.
If you've got the dental record that proves it's him, then you don't need to destroy the body.
Yeah.
So why destroy the body and keep the jaw? That's like me, you destroyed that. You knew that body wasn't Hitler. You destroyed the body, so you've gone and got another jawbone and falsified the records.
But you need to remember at the time, they didn't know that DNA would come in, this, that and the other. They were playing...
but there isn't any DNA, it's just a dental record.
Yeah, they were playing loose and fast, weren't they? But
there's not like saying, we didn't know DNA were going to come in 40 years later. There is no DNA evidence on the body.
That's right.
It's only dental. DNA could just throw DNA out because it's just dental records that we've got. You could falsify that. You could get anyone's jawbone. Say, well, take X-ray of someone's skull and keep the jawbone and go, that's Hitler.
1945? Could you do it?
Yeah, easily. Because of the amount of spycraft that went off, like Operation Mincemeat. It's one of my favourite tales of World War II, where they found a guy dead on streets of London and couldn't identify him or anything, so they dressed him up in officer's uniform and put some battle plans in his pocket and let him and washed his body up on fucking beach. in France, I think it was. And like the plan said that the D-Day landings are going to happen like 100 miles up the road. So the German forces moved up to stop this invasion, and then we attacked Dunkirk. It was like that unknown guy. I salute you, unknown man, because he probably saved. I know Dunkirk was a fucking massacre, but how many lives did that guy save? Because 2/3 of German forces got moved up road, and no one knows his name. So we just know an unidentified homeless guy found on the streets. They could falsify him being an officer enough with false battle plans and false official documents to make 2/3 of the German armed forces move. You're telling me they can't falsify a dental record?
So I'm just going to try and put this together, just to make sure. I'm going to say out loud to make sure that I've got this conspiracy in the right order, and please jump in at any given moment.
Okay.
Okay. So Hitler foreplanned the fall of Berlin. He knew it was going to happen. Knew he was going to have to go to Argentina. So we're saying this. So for him to be in Argentina, this is what he has to have done. He knew he had to make it to Argentina and made
I can see it kind of like, last 2-3 months leading up to end, kind of like, this ain't going good, lads. Let's turn around to his generals and going like, we're going to fucking do this, we're going to turn this country around, we're going to have them. And then when the left room go, right, let's get an out. This isn't looking too good. We're not going to need it, but just in case we do. And like, yeah, of course you're on the plane. Of course you're on the plane. We'll set it all up. And then just fucking, no, you're not on the plane. Fuck off, I'm gone.
So let me put this story together and see what you think. Because I'm going to try and tie it all together. This is ultimately what we're trying to say really happened then if this job one isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Hitler's gone. Berlin's going to fall. Okay, I need it now. But I don't know like a dickhead. So what I'm going to do is write a will and testament to say burn my body.
Mm-hmm.
What we're going to really do is burn my doppelganger.
Yeah.
Have that guy killed. He's going to stay there, buys into all of it. Everyone's going to think it's me. He's going to be dead, and then you're going to burn his body with some other woman, pretty bitch. My last will and testament said that's what I wanted you to do. So that's plan A. I'm going to fuck off with my SS soldiers down to Argentina. I've already got a plan. I've got the rat lines set out already. I can get out of Europe.
The Bavarian villages are already fucking built.
Yeah. So
we've got Franco Torres in Spain, we've got Perón and we've got Pinochet in South America.
So I can get out. I'm going. I'm done. We're going to leave these guys in a merry way. Then the Soviets go in and go, we fucking really need Hitler. We really, really need him, and we can't find him. Some charred bodies. We found this last will and testament. That must be Hitler. Okay. Look at that really unique jawbone. So either they've then gone, shit, that's not him, but we need to make it him.
No,
fake this or
no. I think you're jumping ahead, right? I think I'm weird up to pretty goodbye. He's got an out. He's got a plan. The fact that Mengal, Ralph, and all the others turned up in Argentina say there's a plan for Argentina.
Yeah.
That you don't get that many high-ranking Nazis turn up in South America.
Yeah.
Without that already being discussed and planned.
Okay.
So yeah, they've discussed it now. They've got it set because if it were just a case of shit, Berlin's fallen, everybody run, they'd be all over the world. But they all turned up in like Uruguay, Paraguay, Chile, and
We'll explain why. Because
of
colonialisation and so on.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a plan there. They've all decided where they're going. Right. I think he's got a plan. Burn these 2 bodies. I'm going to fuck off. We'll burn these 2 bodies. Let the Russians find them. Off we go. Russia turned up and gone, that's Hitler. There's a charred body and there's a will and testament and there's 2. That's Hitler. We've got him. Right. Then, as you were saying before, his body's been moved 3 or 4 times.
I think it's 3 times. Yeah.
Over the decades, right? At any point, they could have figured out it's not him. At any point, that body could have been changed. Could that body ever been moved? Oh yeah, we've moved the body. Do we know that body that got moved from point... So the body's been taken to point A. The body's at point A. So it moves from point A to point B. What proof have we got it's the same body?
Well, you've got no proof at all that it was even moved to start with.
Yeah. And then moved from point B to point C. What proof have we got it's the same body?
No.
Right? So they got point C, they grind his bones, they burn him and cremate him, grind his bones down, but keep his jawbone because this is it. We could have had 3 different fucking bodies at this point. So I think it's at this point where they get some KGB prisoner with a unique dental record, X-ray his skull, falsify the records, get rid of the body, keep the jawbone, and go, yeah, we've got proof of Hitler. That proof of Hitler can come from that last move.
The thing is, though, I think the X-ray of his teeth in 1944. It's
Can you date an X-ray?
it was dated. It's in a record, but
You could write anything on a record.
yeah, I know you could.
I dated a record yesterday from 5 days ago. I dated it. Today. I dated a record today from 5 days ago.
I hope that wasn't your yogurt in your fridge.
No, but I wrote an official fucking form today. Like, I'm doing a BTEC at the moment, but on my BTEC I went, oh yeah, I completed that 5 days ago.
I hope you're not watching.
He told me. But you know,
I hope you're not watching. Yeah.
No, I had to sign it and date it, but it was like he marked it 5 days ago and I got it back today, so I had to sign it and date the same date as him. So I falsified the record there.
I mean, it's not implausible. It isn't implausible. Yeah.
To me, it's more plausible that the dental record is a fake than it is plausible that they just happen to have Hitler's You tell me that Hitler, also they found it in Berlin hospital. They just keep the Führer's documents on file in a hospital. There's not, don't have his own private. You know, like they keep fucking Donald Trump or Obama's records on file in Washington.
I can't specifically say where it was because I can't remember, but it wasn't like it was just in Leeds LGI. It was like his library or whatever it's in, his chancery. Go get his fucking dental records.
Oh, really? When you said they found it in Berlin Hospital earlier on, I'm like, they don't keep Obama's or Trump's records
No.
in Washington General Hospital.
I can't, honestly, my notes are all over the place now, but when they found his teeth and they found his records, it wasn't a case of they just went, let's go to the local hospital. It was, he held them, so his records were with him.
Oh, right, earlier on in the programme you said they found his records at Berlin Hospital, and I went, oh, I thought the damage Berlin took.
I cannot remember. I'm terrible at this. Where did they find his teeth? Where's the notes say? Where is it they found his teeth specifically? I can't remember.
But it doesn't even matter where they found them, because it's either way they're easily falsified records.
Yes.
And it's more likely, more plausible, or more believable that one of the world's superpowers could have falsified dental records than it is that you just happen to find his dental records, but it has the exact X-ray that proves your evidence.
I think originally they drew his dental records as his dentist. Stalin wasn't convinced at the time as well, and he wasn't convinced that that was Hitler at the time. So if we're saying Stalin, the dentist drew his records, drew his teeth, and said, what's it look like? And Stalin's like, I'm not convinced. It's just a fucking drawing. I'm not convinced. Does it bend in your idea that I could potentially have falsified it? I think, fucking hell, we're talking a very convoluted, very long. This is a great conspiracy.
Yeah, I mean, like, on what conditions did the guy draw it? Did they go, oh, can you draw the? Just like this, you were Hitler's dentist. Can you just out of memory just draw his dental record? You like to know that really fucking unique? Yes, I can.
Or is it a case of we found this fucking really unique record? Draw this now.
Yeah, draw this dental record now. It's Hitler in it. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, well, there it is. Look, that's what I drew. And you go, oh, look, Stalin, we told him to draw the dental record, and this is what he drew for us.
Let's take the jawbone, get rid of the body. This is it.
This is it. And he's like, well, we've got the proof. And so I was going, oh, I'm not sure, because you did put a gun to his fucking head to make him draw it. You know, or is it because we sat alongside it, we were going, draw Hitler's, yeah, this is Hitler's dental record. Well, it's not the dental record on his jawbone, so I'm going to put this gun to your wife's head. Do you want to try draw his dental records again? Yeah, yes I can, That's not.
I mean, it's not what his dentist has said years and years and years down the line. Because, you know, they talk to his dentist years down the line, saying, no, I drew it because this is what they asked me to do, this and that. He could have come out at any point going, this wasn't Hitler, those fuckers held a gun to my head. You know, it's never once, he didn't, before he died, he didn't once come out and go, that's what happened.
Andrei Litvinenko had fuck all to do with Russian government for 20 years. They still put polonium in his tea in London.
Yeah, I get that.
He wasn't even a national threat. He wasn't even involved in them anymore. They just went, you did this 20 years ago. We've been waiting to get you, you bastard.
But what we're doing now is we're creating our own conspiracy theory to fit a narrative because we want it to be a certain thing.
No, I'm not creating a conspiracy theory. I'm just saying this is more plausible to me that they falsified the records than they found the actual records that these are correct. That the whole thing that from what you said so far, the whole thing, the only thing for you, as you kind of hinted at, that proves Hitler died is that jawbone with the dental records.
Yes.
And I don't think that's solid enough to hinge on. I think I can explain that away as it's more likely they were falsified than it is they're correct and true.
What I'd be expecting to see then is, I know that supposedly the Uberts tend to be Patagonia and it's a big German town and so on in Argentina. I would have expected if Hitler, I know you said that this grey guy said he died in 1962, so that's 17 years after the fact. I would have 100% expected much more evidence of an individual, of him. We've got shitloads of evidence and captures of all his SS soldiers, all of them being captured, all of them have a story, all of them have a footprint, all of them have got evidences of where they're being, but there's not one single bit of evidence at all, other than someone saying, oh, he stayed at the Eden Hotel and disappeared into the woods. We've never found a body. He certainly didn't get found, he certainly didn't go to trial, we certainly didn't find anything of any kind to say he left a single footprint in Argentina.
I couldn't honestly believe it. Unlike the rest of them seem to live out under their names and didn't give a fuck. But they want hunted down. I don't think it was like 10 years later it came out what Mengele did.
Yeah.
So like Mengele's like, knows after me, knows after my name. He's probably the most recognised name in the world. Takes on a different name, becomes a fucking, I don't know, becomes a cobbler or something in a Bavarian village, or a barman, or a landlord or something, you know what I mean? Just to kind of,
yeah.
Maybe it might be the fucking mayor.
Maybe.
But, yeah, I mean, it takes on a different name and just, we see it happen all the time, witness protection programme, where people just change their lives and just take on a new identity, a new name, and have a new life now, and that's it. They don't look at their old one. Is it possible that goes, as soon as I put my head on the parapet, America are dropping that nuke, America are invading here, so I'm just going to keep on fucking down low, and just, this is a nice little retirement community I've got here. I've got a nice little, the architecture I like, my Bavarian architecture around me, I've got nice and secure across a big fucking lake, so I can see anyone come in, and got my German friends around me, my generals and my officers, and I can just, it's a nice little retirement home. As soon as I put my head up, I'm fucked. So I'm just going to stay quiet. And
apart from there's not a single shred of evidence that was true. There's no more evidence that happened than there is evidence that this happened. So the issue being is there's absolutely zero, outside of eyewitness testimony, which we all know is very, very difficult as being proof. And it's the reason why it's not used in court. Outside of eyewitness testimony, there's not a single shred of evidence that Hitler's feet touched Argentina. There's evidence of all his SS soldiers, all those guys were there, there's evidence. Yeah. People, bodies, relationships, businesses, children,
going back
wives and families.
I know it's the History Channel, but going back to that photograph where it's got like Adolf Hitler, and it's like, he's going to change his surname to Schrudenmeier, not think he'd change his name to fucking Hans.
Yeah, or Bob. I'm Bob.
You know what I mean? Hans Schrudenmeier.
Or an Argentinian name at least. Yeah. You know, I'm Gabriel or something.
Well, no, because I'm assuming they have a German accent, so take a German name or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
An Austrian name or a German name or something. But, you know, it wouldn't be Adolf Schrudenmeier. Like, no, you get rid of the Adolf as well. You know, and then you wouldn't go, oh yeah, take a photo of me and sign it. I'll sign it on the back with the name and the date because I'm actually, I'm Hitler.
I'm going to tell everyone.
The one if you're going to just fucking stay on that, yeah, it's just some old guy who works in a cobbler's and goes to work, comes back and goes to the bar on a Saturday, likes his gardening, keeps his head low, no one ever knew who fucking Hitler. You know, I could buy it. It happens every fucking day in witness protection program. All over the world, people just change their identities in their life. People not even witness protection program. I've known people. I know one guy's a really close friend of mine, for 22 years, and it were only like when he got cancer, like 4 months before he died, he just went, actually, and just went out there, and it wasn't no sinister or like that, it was just, had a bit of a mental breakdown in his 70s, and just went, fuck this, and just left Liverpool. Just left Liverpool, came to Leeds, and got a job, got a job, and just got a house, and just changed his name, lived his life up here. And it was like, yeah, this guy known for 22 years, we're never actually that fucking guy.
Well, it was the guy that you knew.
It was the guy I knew, but not.
Yeah.
He just decided one day, I've had enough of this shit. Went up to, I think 73 or 74, came up to Leeds, got a job. Oh yeah, my name's this. You didn't have to give a national insurance number and shit like that. Then he just got a job and carried on and just created an entire new life for himself. He can do that with no sinister or behind it. Just he's had enough of his life down there. Why couldn't Hitler go to Argentina and just go, yeah, I'm Hans Schoenmeier, and I fix shoes.
The only reason I would say that is all his SS soldiers were found, had lives, had to move around a lot, especially when Perón got.
Yeah, but they thought they were invincible in using their own names.
Not all of them used their own names. Not all of them used their own, but some did, obviously. But the problem I have with that is we've got evidence of all those SS soldiers being there. 100% they were. Even with all the what's this fucking TV series that's on.
Oh, Hunting Hitler and shit.
They've been there for ages, and they've not found a single shred of evidence of any kind.
Yeah, but they're not trying to. It's History Channel. Why find evidence and prove Hitler in episode 1 when you can keep this shit going for 7 years?
Yeah, I agree. So there's definitely a financial thing behind it, and
you just need some guy in a pub or some crazy knobhead in a village where you give him £100 and he says, Hitler didn't talk to me for 4 years.
But would they make more money going, we found evidence of Hitler, here it is, and now this is a world story, I'm going to make shitloads very quickly.
Yeah, do you know when you drop that series? You know when you drop that episode? When the advertising money runs out? When you're on season 9 and 10, the viewing figures drop, the advertising money runs out. Then you drop the big fucking zip fucking lob, here's the proof, watch the advertising money fucking skyrocket.
It reminds me a bit of the Yeti.
Yeah. But no, that's exactly how I see it. If we can make money out of this for 8 years, why blow your load on episode 1?
I suppose, but there's still not being, in 70 years, a single shred, non-evidence whatsoever of Hitler being there. But there is, of loads of SS soldiers.
According to, I know it's an eyewitness account, so we can't really give it too much credence, but he died in 62. Right.
According to Wolf. But there was other pictures I saw of him with a girlfriend at 89 years old and 82 or whatever it was.
Yeah, but
it's like,
if he died in 62, then you're going to think technology's less about then, and he's lived his life. No one knows who he is anymore. He's lived his life under a new name, and he's just passed away and gone. And the world remembered Hitler, but no one knows that guy.
So I think we should come to our conclusions.
Yeah. I'll let you go first.
This isn't as straightforward as I thought it was going to be.
It's not, is it?
Not at all. Right. Oh, this is tough. I am never one to have splinters in my arse and sit on the fence.
We're not like, there's one thing we have. The question is now, does that believe? Right? And we are not allowed to sit on the fence. We have to come down one side or the other. You're not allowed splinters in your arse.
Yeah, we are not. So, taking the splinters out of my arse, just looking at the possibility, probability, evidence about what we have available, I still have to go with the physical evidence, the logic, the science, the fact that there's no evidence whatsoever, and honestly, for the wrong reasons, I really want this conspiracy to be true, but the jawbone is still, as much as we've argued against
it still sticks with you.
Still the point of contention for me is that is the only physical evidence in this entire case, either side of the fence for me, and because that is, even though there's conjecture and it could possibly be faked, it's still the only thing we have. Therefore, because it's the only thing we have, I have to side on the side of logic says that must be Hitler. Well, not must be Hitler. It's more probable that that is Hitler because it's the only thing we have left than Hitler turned up in Argentina without any evidence. So I'm going, no. Sadly, no.
You really want to say no, yeah?
I do! I really love a good conspiracy, but sadly, no. I'm very torn, but sadly, no. Hitler did not turn up in Argentina, and this conspiracy is Hitler died in his bunker and was torched in 1945.
I think there's a lot of circumstantial evidence here.
Very much.
Right. There's a lot of physical evidence. We have a lot of physical evidence proving that SS officers were in Argentina.
100%.
Lived out their lives. They escaped justice and lived out their lives in Argentina. Well, a couple of them got brought back eventually. But we've explored 2 or 3 different ways where it's plausible that this could happen, that this could be real. To me, we have 2 lots of physical evidence. We have the jawbone, which I can't get past that it's falsified.
You think it's fake?
I think the jawbone's fake. If we're again, it all comes on to circumstantial evidence. It's physical evidence that's created by circumstantial evidence. Did the Russians move the bodies 3 times, and so whose jawbone is it now? We don't know what duress the dentist was under when he said it was a jawbone.
Correct.
We don't know exactly where the X-rays came from. KGB are easily within their capabilities to fake that document.
That's true.
So, as physical evidence, I have to discount it as proof.
Okay.
There's too much doubt against it for me.
There's a lot of doubt. There
Right.
is.
The only physical evidence we have in this conspiracy theory is Mengal, Roof, et al. Living in Argentina. That physically proves that high-ranking Nazis could get out there. Another set of physical evidence is the Nazi artifacts that were discovered in the hidden room. Well, not just the ones in the hidden room, but there's shitloads of them throughout time that have been discovered in South America.
Does that mean... It doesn't mean Hitler turned up though, does it?
I'm gonna revert back to somebody who has a lot more knowledge about this than I do, and that's that quote from Eisenhower saying there's a overwhelming and abundant assumption that Hitler's dead, but no concrete evidence that he died.
There's no concrete evidence he lived.
But the circumstantial evidence points a hell of a lot towards it. Not only there's no physical proof he died, but we've got proof that he could get out and he could get out of Berlin and he could get to Argentina because we've seen his other officers do it.
Could doesn't mean did. And I'm not going to argue against conclusions, so your conclusion's yours.
But
we've talked about this already, so your conclusion's your own.
Yeah, to me, the proof that Hitler's dead, I can dip on call of it and none of it sits right with me. The proof that Hitler got to Argentina, I'm coming down on the side that he did.
Well, split.
I think there's a lot of... There's too much this could... I'm not saying he did go there, but there's too much going... This is highly probable that he did.
Probable or possible are two very, very... We talked about probability and chance.
I'm going to say it's highly possible that he did.
Okay.
And therefore, that does believe.
So, off camera we're going to have a fight about this. Because we've made a rule that when we make our closing statements and it's fair, our closing statements are our own. And whether or not either of us believe our closing statements, we won't sit here and debate it for another hour because that's not fair enough.
It's not fair on you, the listener. I'll give my thoughts. Like I said, we could sit and debate for another hour.
But we will debate it for another hour.
We've both researched this for the last week. We've both come up with our own opinions. The research you've given me tonight hasn't changed my opinion.
Okay.
The only thing you had was the jawbone, which I can't buy. So we can debate this, but which is everything I've just said in the last 5-10 minutes. We can debate for the next hour. We're still going to be at the same bit.
Well, we're going to drink some more. We're going to argue some more. So, but again, I guess thank you very much for staying with us this whole time. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it.
I've loved this. We want to do more of this. Please give us your comments, give us your thoughts below. We're not going to do that usual bullshit that YouTubers do where we've got, like and subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe. No, we have a different way about it here. If you've enjoyed what you've seen tonight, tell 2 friends. Go tell 2 friends. That's all we ask.
So that's share, okay?
No, not about like, share. If you want to share the video, you want to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, obviously.
That's share and subscribe.
I don't give a fuck about liking. I don't give a fuck about you sharing the video online. If you want to share the video online, great, do it. We appreciate it, thank you. But for us, if you really want to help us out, when you go to work tomorrow, or you go speak to your mates in the pub, when they open again, if they ever do, just tell 2 people about us. Tell 2 people about it. It shows that just go, yeah, have you seen these 2 guys? They're fucking idiots.
Those 2 idiots talking shite.
They're idiots that talk shite. Oh, you've seen these guys? They've got a really good discussion going on. Tell 2 people. Because honestly, I believe if you tell 2 people in person, it'll do a lot more than sharing it online.
I think so too.
If you want to share it online, go ahead. But I'm not stopping you. Well, I can't stop you. But yeah, I'm not going to do a like, share, subscribe. Obviously subscribe so you don't miss an episode. But yeah, go tell 2 people. Just chat to your mates online or whatever, and just tell them we exist.
After that, other bollocks. Hope you have a great time. Hope you've enjoyed the video. We'll see you next week for a brand new episode. It's going to be another meaty one, I assume. We've not decided yet.
We've not decided yet. We're going to have a discussion off camera and decide which one it is.
After we thought about this discussion for the next hour and drunk some more beer and got into a fight, we'll bring up next week. But again, I've been Craig. This has been Badger. Thank you very much for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the show. And we'll see you again next week with a brand new episode.
Until next time, take care.
See you guys.